that their Lord Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem. Since when do Christians need to prove or need proof to claim the Dome of the Rock? Since when do Muslims have to prove that the Kaaba was where the verses of the Holy Quran were revealed to the Prophet? Since when do Buddhists have to prove that Gautama Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya? Why is that, viewers? Hindus in the land of their religion's birth have to prove where their gods were born. India is perhaps the only land where the dominant community has been struggling for centuries to retrieve their holiest sites dedicated to their holiest of deities like Lord Ram, Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna, because some people refuse to acknowledge the sanctity of these places. They question Hindus and their claims over these sites, their beliefs. Viewers, as you know, a number of these matters have reached the courts now because desperate Hindus have realized that certain vested interests might not be interested in resolving these issues amicably. That certain vested interests want to subjugate the dominant community, to go out there and grovel in a court of law. Viewers, it took 500 years for the truth to eventually shake off the shackles of disinformation and surface at Ayodhya. It took 500 years of unflinching struggle and absolute belief to reveal the birthplace of Ram Lalla. Finally, the inescapability of the truth was accepted by the Supreme Court in 2019. Today, another case, a district court has added to the weight of Shiv Bhaks by denying a plea to conduct a carbon dating analysis to the shivling-like structure that represents the site of one of the 12 Jyotirlingas that are meant to be representations of Lord Shiva. And viewers, which site am I talking about? I'm talking about the Gyanvapi complex. The test has been demanded because the Hindu community has been forced to pursue legal route to reclaim the Kashi Vishwanath site, where the Gyanvapi mosque was constructed on the farman of the zealot Mughal Aurangzeb. Viewers, it doesn't take extra sensory perception to determine that the Kashi Vishwanath temple was desecrated to make way for a mosque. The proof literally stares back at you in the form of inscriptions, symbols, and even accounts from Aurangzeb's time. The Hindu side that came away disappointed today will now move the Supreme Court. As I told you, viewers, the district court has turned down the plea to conduct a carbon dating test on what you're seeing on your screens. But let me tell you, Astha can be delayed. It can even be distracted by trifling obstacles. But it can't be shaken or denied. Viewers,
उस एप्लीकेशन को माननीय न्यायालय ने रिजेक्ट किया है और माननीय न्यायालय ने ये रीजनिंग दी है क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 17 मई के ऑर्डर से इस एरिया को सील कर रखा था। इसलिए अगर हम कोई भी ऑर्डर पास करेंगे तो उस ऑर्डर का उल्लंघन होगा। तो मैं आपके सामने बयान देना चाहता हूं कि इस ऑर्डर के अगेंस्ट हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे।
आम जनमानस की धार्मिक भावना आस्था को भी ख्याल रखते हुए उनकी कार्बन डेटिंग की एप्लीकेशन निरस्त किया है। कोई जीत हार की बात नहीं है, ये एक इंटरलोक्यूटरी आर्डर है। इसका मेरिट पे कोई प्रभाव नहीं होगा, मेरिट पे तो एविडेंस से तय होगी।
So viewers, now the matter will be decided by the Supreme Court, but there are other possible options too that could be explored. The Hindu side could seek the carbon dating of structures outside the area which have been sealed, or orders of the top court that areas the vicinity of the purported shivling. Experts are also of the view that the Hindu side can request for other scientific investigations like ground penetration radar, which is non-destructive in nature, which will not necessitate the demolition or in any way, the altering of the character of the shivling-like structure on your screens, viewers. But before we get into the debate, viewers, I want to speak to Vishnu Jain, the lawyer who is joining us from Varanasi itself, where this court battle is been going on for now a few years. Now, Mr. Jain, first of all, many people are calling this a massive setback for the Hindu side. Can you first explain why, in your view, it is not a setback?
See, I don't think. See, Rahul, a very good evening to all of you, and I would like to say that this terminology like setback does not happen in a legal arena. The point in issue is this, that we had asked for ground penetration radar and a scientific investigation of the Shivlingam and the area around the Shivlingam to be excavated and to be and a report to be submitted before the Honorable Court. The Order 26 Rule 10A of the CPC as well as Section 45 of the Indian Evidence Act permits such an exercise where court can call for expert opinion, where court can issue scientific commission to get scientific reports and scientific opinions into a matter in issue. Now the point is this, if you will analyze the order passed by the Honorable District Judge, the Honorable District Judge has gone on to say that the Supreme Court on 17th of May has sealed this entire premises, so I cannot pass such an order. Now the point is this, that the Honorable District Judge has ignored the judgment of the Supreme Court of 20th of May, where the Supreme Court has itself directed the Honorable District Judge to do the entire trial of the matter and to decide all the applications which are filed in the matter. And Rahul, the story does not end here. After 20th of May, we had filed a 32 petition, Article 32 petition by these 4 women devotees before the Supreme Court, and we had asked for scientific investigation of the Shivlingam. The Supreme Court directed us to approach the trial court, since the matter is pending before the trial court, and showed us the order of 20th of May, where it is specifically mentioned that all the applications will be decided by the trial court. In light of those observations and orders, we approached the trial court. Now the trial court says that we cannot decide it because 17th May order restricts the entire exercise, which is completely erroneous, because after 17th of May there is an order of the Supreme Court of 20th of May, there is an order of the Supreme Court in our petition under Article 32 where this permission has been granted. That is point number 1. Now the point is this, the second point, that we had asked for ground penetration radar of the Shivlingam, and as you rightly said, there will be no damage to the Shivlingam. We had clarified before the court that we have not asked carbon dating of the Shivlingam, and the third is that we had asked for excavation of the entire premises. No report was called from the ASI that whether this exercise can be conducted or not. No questions were asked from the ASI. The ASI was not issued notice. And last but not the least, Rahul, that kindly appreciate and kindly examine this aspect, that if one person is saying that this is a Shivlingam and the Muslim side has filed an affidavit for the first time in the court that no, this is not a Shivlingam, it is a fountain, then what's the mode of adjudication? How will it be adjudicated? I must tell you that if you will see that entire video where Shivlingam has been found, the argha of the Shivlingam is still to be found. I want to prove my case through expert opinion. I don't want to prove my case through public opinion. If I have to prove my case in a court of law, I can only prove it by way of an expert opinion. For that, excavation is required, radars are required, and ground penetration radar order is not new in this case. Already there was an order in 2021 where ground penetration radar of the entire premises was directed to be ordered, and against that the Muslim side is appealed before the Allahabad High Court. So my respectful submission is, Rahul, that the CPC permits scientific investigation the entire matter was argued before the Honorable District Judge, and this order is erroneous for the reasons I mentioned above, and therefore we will challenge this order before the Honorable Supreme Court, because it's like a situation of like we are swinging from one court to the other court. The Supreme Court says you go to the trial court. The trial court says that we cannot do it because the matter is sealed by the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So we will approach the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will clarify this issue.
Okay, the Supreme Court will clarify this issue. Let me bring in Professor Atikur Rahman Saab. Professor Rahman, I just want to ask you a simple question, sir. We all know that this is a matter of fundamental belief. Professor Rahman, even you have certain beliefs. But here, sir, there is an additional layer. If you were just to go to this particular site, what will stare back at you? You will see a mosque standing on the remains of a temple. I can show you photographs. You don't have to have, as I said, extrasensory perceptions. You have also several other pieces of evidence, and I can take you through them if you would like, but to save time I will refer to one of them, a farman issued by the zealot Mughal Aurangzeb, and that exists, that we must construct a mosque on this site, and all of this is here with me in documentary form. So, Professor Rahman, why go to the extent of filing petitions to block what is really the only way to determine the truth, which is to use the tools that science has given us? As Vishnu Jain has said, if things are so blatantly apparent, why file these interventions? Why is the Muslim side trying to create obstacles? What is there to hide? And wouldn't everyone want science to determine today the facts? Why block it? Rahman sir.
Fine, Rahul. Rahul, with respect to Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain and to you too, there are two aspects to what the questions you have posed before me. Firstly, there is no doubt the farmans are there. There is no doubt that anybody enters the Gyanvapi mosque will be looking and staring at a temple, the temple staring at his face. Irfan Habib, the historian, has established the fact that the bigot emperor had, issued the farman. It was demolished and the mosque built. No doubt about that. Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain has pinpointed that why no carbon dating, now why no scientific apparatus should be used to determine. I will ask you that what is the need for a scientific evidence when the historical farmans and the other evidences are available. The only impediment what I think is the 1991 Places of Worship Act, which in due diligence the government of India can repeal, can amend, can do whatever it wants to. My intention is, if this is done, rather than moving to the courts and wasting the precious times of the court, it will create a sense of justice in the minds of the people, that Hindus and Muslims are no more into animosity by the fringe elements. Day in and day out, on TV channels, on the ground, the people are creating such atmosphere that Hindus are against Muslims, Muslims are against Hindus, their scriptures are different. The same theory which came in the two-nation theory, and Jinnah came with the argument that these two communities should not and could not survive if the division is not made. I do not wish to go into those arguments, those litigations. To end the litigation part, to end the animosity, I plead before Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain, tell the government of India, which is a known Islamophobic government, a known anti-Islamic government, a known anti-Muslim government, though they have taken an oath otherwise, to repeal the 1991 Places of Worship Act.
Okay, now look at the way this has been framed, Mr. Rahman. So even if the government were to today remove this Places of Worship Act, they will say, see, we told you it's Islamophobic. So how do you can't win this one. You will not give up your claim, and you will then dare the government into repealing an act to prove that the government itself is Islamophobic. Yes, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain, would you like to respond to Professor Rahman? Let him respond. Yeah. Yes.
See, Mr. Rahman has with lot of satire and pun intended, has tried to put this point, but I would like to ask Mr. Rahman that please read the judgment passed by the Honorable District Judge of Varanasi of 12th of September. On 12th of September, the Honorable District Judge has held that in this particular case, the Places of Worship Act is not attracted. And the fact of the matter is that in Mathura's case also, such an order has been passed by the Honorable District Judge. So you may have your quarrel with the Places of Worship Act that is being argued before, and there are a lot of constitutional points which are being agitated before the Supreme Court. On 31st October is the deadline when the central government has to give its affidavit, and when we will have the stand of the central government, then you can advise me that where should I go? Should I go to the central government or to the Supreme Court? So that's point number one. Point number two is, Rahul, that Mr. Rahman has skipped this point where we are asking for scientific investigation. He is saying that there are historical firmans, so why scientific investigation is required? There were a lot of historical research, Mr. Rahman, for Ayodhya case also. But if you want to prove your case in court of law, and I understand that you are also a law graduate, then you need many proofs, not just historical records. Historical records is one part of it which is admissible under section 57 of the Indian Evidence Act. The judgment, the findings of the ASI ordered by the Honorable Allahabad High Court in 2002 ASI report became the main crux for the Hindus and for everyone so far as the Ayodhya judgment was concerned. And today we are asking for an ASI survey. What's wrong if you are saying that it's a fountain and we are saying it's a Shivlingam? Let the ASI decide it. The ASI director Rahul has gone on record and said that yes, this exercise can be conducted without damaging the Shivlingam. GPR can be conducted. There are various means by which it can be asserted. अभी जो आप फुटेज देखेंगे उसमें अभी शिवलिंग के नीचे एक्सकेवेशन होना है. We had asked for excavation, but everyone has just diluted this application saying that शिवलिंग की कार्बन डेटिंग मांग रहे हैं. शिवलिंग की कार्बन डेटिंग नहीं हो सकती. We have not asked for carbon dating of the Shivlingam.
Well, viewers, we also have, of course, a ASI official, a former ASI official, who was involved in the Ayodhya case, and we'll play it out in just a few moments, but I want to bring in Abdul Razak Khan. Yes, I want to bring in Mr. Abdul Razak Khan. Mr. Khan, look, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain says there is no other mode by which this can be ascertained that the Shivling which has been found is actually a Shivling, other than conducting scientific inquiries. So why is the Muslim side, for the lack of a better word, or the managers of this mosque complex blocking this? दूध का दूध हो जाएगा, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा.
अंजुमन इंतजामिया.
Yes. What's the point? What's the point?
Rahul, I fail to understand how is it that a scientific investigation, a carbon dating will decide whether the stone is a Hindu or a Muslim. How are you going to decide whether it's a Hindu stone or a Muslim stone? Is it a Shivling or a fountain? 1669 the mosque was built. Before that the temple was renovated many times. It was brought down, it was rebuilt, brought down, rebuilt. The last history that we have
don't scoff at science.
In 18th century.
If the stone, no, 1 second, if this Shivling or Shivling like structure as the court likes to define it turns out to be earlier than the construction date of the mosque, then it's quite clear, sir, what it is.
Exactly, Rahul.
इसमें तो you don't have to be Einstein.
Sir, maybe the stone was brought long time back and it may have been installed. Sir, this is been objected by the senior most lawyer Sir, this has been objected by Subramaniam Swamiji, a BJP leader and a senior most lawyer, who is laughing at this statement that by the scientific investigation,
Sir,
by carbon dating,
sir,
we are going to ascertain
sir,
the age of the stone.
1 second, let me bring
I am
in,
not
1
saying
second,
this
let
on
me
your
bring in
own
Vishnu
channel.
Shankar Jain on
It
this
was
point.
Subramaniam Swamiji.
Okay. Vishnu ji, it's not just about carbon dating, even the
See, Rahul,
scientific...
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Rahul, see, that's...
Yeah, go ahead, please go ahead. Go ahead.
See, Rahul, if someone has to understand my application, there are various layers of my application. The first layer is ground penetration radar. There is no response on GPR by the other side. They are only saying carbon dating. The second layer of my submission is excavation. If in excavation, Rahul, the arga of the Shivlingam is found, that's the end of the story. No more further dating is required. And the third is to dig the fountain. We have to see how this fountain is working, whether there is any water management system or not, and how much drill centimeter drill has been done. And the fourth is that we are not asking for carbon dating of the Shivlingam. We are asking for excavation, and when during excavation lot of things will be found, for that we had asked for carbon dating. Please read my application. We had asked for carbon dating of the other constituents of the Shivlingam, and Shivlingam must be ascertained first by GPR survey, second by excavation, and third by any other means which the ASI thinks fit. And the ASI director has gone on to say that yes, this kind of exercise can be done without damaging or touching the Shivlingam. It can be ascertained, and you ask me what will happen if the age of the Shivlingam is found. First of all, we need to see whether it's a Shivlingam, whether we find the arga or not. And second, if the age is found, and if it comes on record by the ASI that the Shivlingam is 60,000 years old or whatever is the time, then the entire theory of mosque, the entire theory of places of worship act, the entire theory of Waqf act will be demolished.
Sir, how will
now
it
the
become
point
a
is
Hindu
that I am a
stone?
lawyer, I want
Even
to
if
prove
it is
my
an
case
ancient
in
stone,
the court of
how will
law
you say that
to
the Hindu
expert
stone?
evidence.
Abdul Razak sir, Abdul
we
Razak
are
sir,
very
please.
famous
Now,
for
1 minute,
having a black
don't
stone.
cause, okay,
Our
1 second,
Kaaba
don't
is
cause
black.
hurt,
Our
don't
Kaaba
cause
is
hurt.
black.
No one asked you, no, please,
Kiss
no
the
one
black
asked you to
stone when we
certify,
perform Hajj.
no, 1
When
second,
we
let me open
perform
this up.
Arga,
Razak
this is
sir.
a black stone.
I am telling you.
So we have
telling
history
you.
of a black stone.
Rahul, arga of the Shivlingam will be found. Rahul, arga of the Shivlingam
How
will
will
be
you
found.
decide?
What do you mean, how can you decide,
And Rahul,
sir?
let me tell you, this kind of objection was raised.
Rahul, please give
Rahul,
me 1
this
moment to
kind
respond here, please.
He's
Rahul,
responding.
this kind of objection was raised when we wanted to conduct a survey. When initially Advocate Commission survey was conducted, they said no survey should be conducted.
Vishnu ji.
There is nothing inside the mosque.
Vishnu
Let me open this up. 1
Why
second,
you
let
want
me
to
bring
come
another,
out for a survey?
1 minute, let me
Threats
bring
were
another
openly made
advocate.
Please
on
listen to
6th of May, on
Ratan
7th
Shah
of
ji
May.
is also
The
waiting.
ASI
One
Advocate
second, one
Commission
second, one
survey
second,
was
Razak
not
sir.
done.
Find anything.
Razak sir, please don't be
last hour-
pugnacious. This is not fair. Please, this is not right.
Now,
You know
just
you are
one
sounding
statement.
a little
Just
off
one
key today.
statement.
Please, I mean, use logic. Please, 1 minute. Let me bring in Dr. Syed Rizwan Ahmed Saab. He's a lawyer also, and he knows this case. There's also Ratan Sharda ji, and there is Rashid Khan Bhai. So let me first begin with you, Dr. Ahmed. What do you make of the resistance? Forget about the court, but the petitions that were filed to block such scientific studies.
Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. You have been reiterating to the panelists, not now, earlier also, that why not give up the claim, why not the claim exactly, why not give up the protest or the hindrance, and let's have a settlement. And Mr. Rahman was also advocating this, Mr. Atikur Rahman Sahab. Going back to facts, see, try to understand with whom you are dealing. And then you should make your submission. I am no person to tell you anything about how you should go about a thing. देखो भाई, Jews और Christians में settlement हो गया, Protestants and Catholics में हो गया, Brahmanism and Buddhism में हो गया, सबका सब में हो गया. Muslim का permanent settlement on grounds of religion in 1400 year आज तक किसी के साथ हुआ? No. Did Shia and Sunni could settle? No. So forget about the fact that we will settle with you. You can settle with an African gorilla over bananas. But we won't settle anything where religion is concerned. This is how we have been grown up. And this is how we think. Globally, since we exist on planet Earth. So,
he is creating animosity between the communities. Rahul taking due advantage of Times Now channel.
1 second,
Your
Rizwan
floor,
Saab, Rizwan Saab is speaking.
Not stupid, they are treating
No, 1 second, Atikur Rahman Saab. 1 minute, Atikur Rahman Saab, what you said was even worse.
Have due diligence.
What you said was even worse. What you said was even worse, which was to create animosity in one community against the elected government of this country. And you created, sir, you vitiated. I allowed you to have your say. This gentleman, Rizwan Ahmed, is a bona fide member of your community. He is an advocate. He is as responsible, sir, as you are. You want to cancel him? You can go ahead. But he is not at any level. At any level. No, 1 second, 1 second. No, I'll tell you then. Then answer this question, Atikur Rahman Sahab. Why don't you allow? No, then why don't you allow the worshippers free access to the complex? Settlement ho gayi, baat khatam.
Yes.
It's a matter of belief.
That was the original plea.
It was not, sir.
That was the original plea.
You blocked that plea. Every plea you have blocked. Yes. You have even
that
blocked. Forget about carbon
plea.
dating. You have even blocked ASI survey. Why? Why, sir? If you want to promote amity between communities, why are you today supporting those people who are blocking every attempt?
No, 1 second.
Atikur Rahman, don't try to play the victim card. Don't do this. This is wrong. You have an old history of doing this. You use vicious sarcasm. You use vicious sarcasm, sir, to poison atmosphere. I allowed you your free run on this channel. You created a absolute feeling by fear-mongering that the government was militating against. Militating against. 1 second. Don't teach me, sir. Don't teach me. I know exactly where the line ends and then where the line begins. Don't teach me, sir. Don't teach me. Because if I silence you, then you will come out and tweet that I stopped you from speaking. Don't try to play this smart game with me. Okay, now 1 minute. Don't interrupt somebody. You want to say something, raise your hand. Let him finish.
Yeah. Can I come in? Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Now I'll come to recent history. See, I'm just trying to help out. You reach a conclusion that how you should open the program regarding settlement in the future. 1985 Shah Bano, no settlement. Triple Talaq, no settlement. Rohingya, no settlement. Hijab, no settlement. Ram Mandir, no settlement. NRC, no settlement. So please scrap it out of your mind that we will settle. Now let's talk about law. The Constitution of India talks about brotherhood, but it does not say that people should settle their matters out of brotherhood. For that we have the law, we have the CPC, CRPC, IPC, everything. Now I come to the moot point. I am perplexed at a point. What I am perplexed, and Vishnu Bhai will throw light on it, that I fail to understand whether the contest of Gyanvapi Mandir, which every Hindu believes, it will be Rahul in bits and pieces, or it will be in a holistic point of view about the entire premises. What I feel a right approach, maybe it might take a longer time. It should be fought on a petition that not shiveling, not this, not that. The entire premises should come under the control of government or ASI, and a picture in totality should come out that what this place actually is.
Let me get
rather than contesting in bits and pieces. This should be the approach. Vishnu Bhai can throw light on it.
Vishnu Shankar Jain, would you like to respond to Rizwan Ahmed, advocate?
See, first of all, Rizwan Bhai, I would like to say that the Kashi Vishwanath Act of 1983 UP government has already declared this entire premises as a Hindu temple. Now the point here is this, and Rahul, I want to tell on your channel that we don't have to prove here that the temple has been destroyed. We don't have to prove here that there are signs of Hindu temple inside this so-called mosque. What we have to really do is we have to show that we were prior in time. Please try to understand this phrase, that we were prior in time. And for proving that I was prior in time, we need spot inspection of the premises, and exactly for that reason we had taken out the advocate commission, which was heavily resisted by the Muslim side, and exactly to prove that we were prior in time, this scientific investigation is being demanded for. If there will be a report by the ASI that we are prior in time and the deities are existing there, my Shivlingam is existing there, then definitely we will have a edge in the hearing of the case. Now the point is this, Rahul, that please try to appreciate this point, that now my Shivlingam is existing there. There are lakhs of devotees in this country, Rahul, who want to do worship immediately, right now. Right now they want to worship, but they are holding their feelings because they want that this matter first may be adjudicated. Now when I'll go in the court of law, will I be swayed away by the feelings of the public, or will I have to prove through evidence that yes, this is a Shivlingam, and please grant me puja of the Shivlingam, please grant me rights of puja of the Shivlingam. When I will ask for rights of puja of the Shivlingam, what will I show? Will I show the Farman of Aurangzeb, or will I show the public opinion? Definitely, Rahul, I have to show the expert opinion.
Yes.
And for forming an expert opinion, we had asked for scientific investigation, but all these things have been brushed aside. There is इतना भ्रम फैलाया गया, राहुल, इतना कंफ्यूजन फैलाया गया कि हम शिवलिंग को डैमेज कर देंगे, हम शिवलिंग को तोड़ देंगे, ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता है. हर बार हमने क्लैरिफाई किया साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन. Then also you can see your panelists saying carbon dating of the Shivlingam. No sir, not carbon dating of the Shivlingam. Scientific investigation of the Vazu area. और प्रॉब्लम क्या है? अगर आपका फाउंडर तो वो भी सामने आएगा ना.
They have blocked every avenue. 1 second, Razak Saab. Don't stop shouting in the middle, please.
You are trying to do what you claim that Aurangzeb did once upon a time.
Sir, calm down, relax, take a deep breath, have a cold glass of water, relax, calm down.
Sir,
no one is running away.
Scientific investigation नहीं मांगा था.
You know, Vishnu Jain is using the only peaceful recourse he has, which is the court. Aurangzeb never used the court. He used the sword. So don't try and make him into...
That was the law of that time.
No, 1 second. Abdul Razak Saab, for a lot of people that remains the law even in present day.
20 seconds.
That was the law of that point of time.
And no, for some it remains, for some who are part of the Sartan Se Juda brigade, it remains the law even currently. So Razak Saab, let's not go down that route, please. Let's not do that. You know, you just have to ask Professor, Joseph.
20 seconds.
You just have to ask Professor Joseph. Yes, Rizwan Ahmed, before I bring in Ratan
20 seconds.
And the Congress leader Rashid Bhai. Yes,
Yeah.
Rizwan
Yeah.
Saab, boliye. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Vishnu Bhai, for enlightening me. But there is just a rejoinder, it is not a counter. What I want to ask you, that why, since you are contesting and we are reading and hearing your hard work, why are you limited till the shivling and excavation of the shivling? Why aren't you contesting the entire premises? Can you just enlighten me?
Okay, yes. Vishnu ji.
Yes, we are contesting for the entire premises. Let me tell you, Rizwan Bhai, that there is an order passed by the Honorable Trial Court for excavation of the entire premises in 2021 by Honorable Mr. Justice Ashutosh Tiwari, Civil Judge, Senior Division.
Yes.
The Muslim side is in appeal before the Allahabad High Court. The Allahabad High Court has stayed it.
Very
So
interesting.
it's not that we are not contesting for the entire premises, Rizwan Bhai. We are contesting for the...
Let me bring in.
Yes, and Rahul, let me tell you.
Yes.
I would request you, Rahul.
Yes,
that
go ahead. Yes.
GPR survey for the entire premises was ordered by Ashutosh Tiwari. GPR survey for the entire premises and ASI survey was ordered by Justice Ashutosh Tiwari in 2021. The Muslim side is in appeal before the Allahabad High Court, and for one reason or the other the Allahabad High Court has stayed it. Now we got a very narrow gateway to excavate this particular area because the Supreme Court permitted these proceedings by 28th of May order.
So
that's why we are asking for excavation of this Bazu area.
So this is very important. Now let me bring in Ratan Sharda Sahab, who's been extremely patient with us, and I thank you, sir, for your patience. I just want to ask you, because we've heard the Professor Rahman Sahab, who is accusing everyone of standing in the way. Now this is very ironic, of a settlement. He's saying he's the only one who's speaking of a settlement, but what is his settlement? Remove the Place of Worship Act, get the centre to do it, so that the centre can then be declared a bigoted, as he in his words, paraphrase, a bigoted Islamophobic government. Look at the clever sleight of hand, Ratan Sharda Sahab. Even though he knows that both these sites are no longer covered by the Place of Worship Act, and he's smiling because he knows what he's doing. But nonetheless, I want to bring you in, Ratan Sharda Sahab. Who is being the obstacle here?
See, I don't want to deviate the debate into Hindu Islamophobia, etc. The game that Atikur Rahman and many politicians play. We know what BJP has done for the Muslims much more than any other government did previously. Let that rest. My issue is, from where did the entire dispute start? We talk of bhaichara, no? What was that start? Up to 1992, women were worshipping Gauri there. It was stopped in 1982 by Ghulam Singh Yadav. It was not a law. It was a fiat by the chief minister, a political decision. How did it become fundamental right of the Muslims to stop the worship? So women go to court, they create hurdle, it snowballs into a situation where survey is allowed to be done. Survey stopped with unsuccessful by these people. When shivling is found, they call it a fawara, and that leads to Sartan Sajida Mayhem, that leads to a lady like Nupur Sharma living an imprisoned life, and these people came on the TV, started laughing, ridiculing Hindus and there are jokes all around. From there on, cases going on the court. So this so-called Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb dries up. The way when Hindus want justice, can't we understand the wounded civilization which has faced worst kind of Holocaust, pillage, rapes, convergence, temple destruction for 1000 years? Despite that, my friends here keep on saying, why are you creating problem, and who are these people? Do they come from Afghanistan? Do they come from Turkestan? Do they come from Mughal stock? No. They are the same people who are victimized like us. We didn't convert, some people converted, fine. But why do they want to advocate for these people? He says कि भाई कानून बदल दो, कानून क्यों बदल दो? I would request Atikur Rahman, just a moment, to come together and tell their followers, कि छोड़ दो इसको, लेडीज को पूजा करने दो, कि अगर शिवलिंग है तो शिवलिंग को इनको बाइज्जत दे दो, क्योंकि नंदी का भी मुंह उधर है. We know Nandi doesn't stare in the blank. We know that Shivling is facing Nandi. Knowing this, if this will keep on rubbing salt in the wounds and still want him to blame the Hindus for this kind of bitterness, I think they are responsible for it. So entire game plan is to keep on creating basal. Ram Mandir, who stopped the survey? Who stopped the peaceful settlement? Marxist historians abetting these so-called Muslim scholars who had no clue at all. And that led to 30 years of litigation. That led to so many things, and now they are saying, nahi, yahan bhi yahi hone do, because they are not interested in puja. They are not interested in mosque because it doesn't belong to them. They are interested in mayhem. They are interested in hate politics. That is why this kind of sarcasm, this kind of points making. Okay, so and this Abdul Raz is one of the persons who was there joking about Shivling.
Ratanji, let me come in.
Last point. Yeah. Last point.
Yeah.
What is difficult for them to put it as a fawara? भैया फवारा चला के दिखा दो.
Okay.
तार डाल के देख लो, कोई डैमेज नहीं होगा. वो अगर तार आर पार जाती है, वहां कोई पाइप लगी है, फवारा चलता तो भैया चला के दिखा दो, बात खत्म हो गई.
That's a very simple and logical bit of advice that is being offered here by Ratan Sharda ji. Viewers, I'm going to show you some pictures because Ratan Sharda has referred to Nandi. And we all know, viewers, that Nandi always faces the Lord. We all know this. And if you see the tracking visuals that we are just going to show you in just a few seconds, you will see that Nandi's site is fixated on where the Vazu Khana is today, in which this shivling-like structure is situated. I will just show that to you. But till then, I want to go across to Rashid Khan Bhai, who is of the Congress party. Rashid Khan Bhai, let me just take you through some of the documents that we have. the 1965 Varanasi Gazetteer, let me reveal to you what it said. The report published by the Department of District Gazetteers evidently notes that in the year 1669, both Sri Kashi Vishwanath Temple and Beni Madhav Temple were demolished on the orders of Aurangzeb. So there is historic record. There is historic record. There is archaeological record. Just look at Nandi here. Nandi is looking on from behind gates straight onto the Vazukhana. That's the Vazukhana, viewers. Straight there. Nandi always follows, her gaze always goes on the Lord. And for hundreds of years, viewers, Nandi has been obviously denied this vista. There it is. It's so clear. The visuals will tell you. So there is, as you can see, archaeological record also. Then there are, of course, viewers, surveys that uncovered the symbol of a trident, lotus engravings, Hindu carvings in the complex. Pillars were also found in the basement of the mosque that have engravings of flowers and a kalash. Then you have, of course, the Masir-e Alamgiri, an account of Aurangzeb's rule written by Saki Mustaid Khan when the emperor was alive. The book mentions that on 2nd September 1669, Aurangzeb's officials demolished the mosque of Vishwanath at Varanasi according to the command of Aurangzeb, and it goes on. There are several other references, as I told you, right here. There are references that have been made by visiting scholars from other countries also, viewers. So, Rashid Khan Saab, all it takes in the interests of brotherhood, amity, etc., is to stop standing in the way of Hindu faith. No one questions your beliefs, as I began by saying. No one asks you to give a certificate or kagas on where your most glorious Lord was born or lives or what have you. No one. And this is true of every other faith. Why make Hindus go through this rigmarole, sir? When you know the facts are there. Yes. Yes, Rashid Khan Sahab. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rahul. Yes, Rahul.
So
amicably. Yes, hello. Yes, Rahul. Right now, amicably, we are not here to decide whether the structure is shriveling or fountain. And this thing has been presented in the court, and about the evidences and the proofs which you have just mentioned, that will be presented in front of judges, and let them take the decision, and let them give the decision whether it's a shriveling or whether it's a fountain. Let's leave that story to the court. But right now, why the petition has been rejected? Why the petition has been rejected of carbon dating as well as scientific investigation? Just because to obtain carbon fragments from the structure, they need to dig around the structure, and that digging can cause damage to the shriveling or so-called fountain. So now we need to understand that if at all the decision which has been given by Varanasi court, we need to accept that thing. On May 17, Supreme Court has directed that the place should be sealed. The Vazu area should be sealed. And now that the verdict has come out, and we need to respect that verdict, and it comes hand in hand with our constitution. And the main thing is that when it comes to Hindus Astha, Hindus even need to understand Musalman Astha. Hindus are in majority, Muslims are in minority. They need to respect minorities. Why can't they have a large heart and say that, okay, right, this is Gyanvapi Masjid, let's continue with it. So, like finding mandir in masjid is hurting Muslim sentiments. That's the main issue. And whether Gyanvapi masjid was Kashi Vishwanath temple part, whether it was being damaged or destroyed by some Mughal emperor, that's a different story. Let the court decide. All the evidences and proofs are in front of court. Now let the court decide. And now we have to accept the verdict which has been given by the Varanasi court. It all depends upon the sentiment right now. India is a secular country. We need to understand that.
So Rashid Khan Sahab, I just hope that you will accept if in the Supreme Court this matter goes, and if the Supreme Court overturns the district court's decision, I hope
we will surely welcome any decision.
Well, I will tell you, sir, I will tell you, because there are Congress politicians like you. There were politicians from...
What about 1991?
Let me finish, sir. Let me finish.
1 minute.
Sir, the court gave a clean chit in 1991. Then you should accept 1991 Places of Worship Act. That is going to be challenged.
That has been violated by Varanasi court.
No, one second. Rashid Khan Sahab, then you should accept this. No, if they have, then you should accept it, since you believe in the court. So if they have, you can't say that has been violated and this has not been violated. Yes, you can't pick and choose the judgments that suit you. One court can't be communal and the other court can't be secular. One judge can't be communal and the other judge can't be secular. Let me tell you yesterday. Okay, fair enough. Rashid bhai, you're not.
Yes, Rahul.
You're being selective.
Now,
you're being selective. Let me tell you something.
When it comes to carbon dating, we are trying to change the religious character of the worship.
Okay. Right. Okay. No problems. I understand. That's what the court has said. The matter is going up in appeal to the Supreme Court. If, God forbid, for you, sir, this Supreme Court decides to change the directions, I hope you will accept them. Then there will not be this constant gripe that, oh, the court has suddenly become communal. Because yesterday, just 1 second, let me finish, please. I'm wrapping up, I have to move on. I've heard your point of view. Fair enough. Let's go by the courts. Then don't criticize the court selectively. Today you are in favor of the court, tomorrow you won't be. One judge ruled in favor of hijab, the other judge ruled against
Rahul,
the
can
hijab.
I have 30 seconds, please?
The judge that ruled in favor of the hijab, you called him a secular judge. The other judge was sworn to Hindutva. That is what was said. Yeah, I'm wrapping up, sir. I'm wrapping up because there is a very important story that we have just broken. And I want to bring our viewers up to speed with that, viewers. This is an important story. You may remember the rampant violence that rocked Leicester and Birmingham. We showed you how Hindus living in the UK were targeted, threatened, attacked and abused. They were called all sorts of hideous names. Urine drinkers, dogs, neo-Nazis, fascists and much worse. All this even as they haplessly witnessed their religious symbols being desecrated. A saffron flag outside a temple was set on fire. Obscene gestures were made at unsuspecting devotees inside a temple premises. You can see all of that. Houses with Hindu symbols were targeted and vandalized. Now just over 4 weeks later, even as the police is still probing to ascertain the culpability, the blame, the cause for the riots, the mayor of Leicester has joined the bandwagon of those portraying the victims as perpetrators. The victims here being, of course, the Hindu community. Speaking to the media, Peter Soulsby said, and he's the mayor, that Hindutva forces had a hand in instigating riots. Let's listen in.
Things emerged on the night that have their roots in the Indian subcontinent.
What kind of things emerged?
Oh, I think ideologies that are associated with views about the particular racial and religious groups in India and the way in which people perhaps here in the UK identify with those groups.
Are you talking about the Hindutva ideology?
Yes, I think that's certainly one that's, I think, a part of it.
Now, viewers, in case you were wondering how the mayor arrived at this conclusion, despite almost all the evidence on camera and record indicating otherwise, we will now show you a video that might help connect the dots. Just 2 days before making this statement, Soulsby met Majid Freeman, a so-called Islamic scholar. We will tell you why that is problematic. But first, listen in to the video posted by Freeman after the interaction. This is the person that Soulsby met. Soulsby, the mayor.
People just came to speak to the community directly and hear what they've got to say directly, firsthand. And I think it was productive. We had some commitments from here. We dealt with the issue with ISIS and other extreme ideologies, and we deal with the Hindutva ideology as well, and we get to the root cause and we take things back to peace again. We'll have that later.
Now viewers, look at the obvious similarities. It almost seems like the mayor of Leicester is echoing the fact-free statements made by Freeman, pinning the blame on Hindutva ideology for the attacks. So first he meets this person and then he gives an interview. Now see why this is an issue. The man who seemingly extracted commitments from Mayor Soulsby is the one on your screens in a pair of white trousers and black jacket, seen as part of a mob running rampage in Leicester. Watch closely as the masked men surround a car, topple it over, leaving a man bleeding. Let's play those visuals. Let's show those visuals that we just had on our screens in Mumbai of this man. There's Majid Freeman. He instigates violence. He rocks this car, topples it. You have a young man who steps out, who's bleeding. Majid was part of a larger nexus that has been feeding the social media space with anti-Hindu propaganda and has been repeatedly fact-checked by the Leicester police, but to no avail. He tried to peddle fears around a Muslim boy being targeted by Hindus and was exposed. Then he spread fake news that Hindu men had tried to abduct a Muslim girl and was again called out by the police in Leicester. Now let's open this up, viewers. Let's go across to a few people to get a sense of what is going on. Let me bring in Miss Manu Khajuria, Indian citizen based in the UK since the last 12 years. Now Miss Khajuria, why would the mayor of Leicester meet Majid Freeman and take on board Majid Freeman's analysis of what happened when Majid Freeman has not only been fact-checked by the Leicester police for spreading fake news to instigate crimes in communities against each other and disturb the peace, but also who is part of a mob viciously targeting commuters. Can you explain?
Well, Rahul, this is a question which currently the British Hindu and British Indian community is asking as well. Because, and this seems to be an extension of the anti-India, anti-Hindu narrative and the diatribe coming out from a lot of Labour MPs and a lot of Labour parties, elected political representatives. It seems like an extension. Because here is the mayor who initially had acknowledged that a lot of disinformation in social media has directly led to the incitement of violence and hate against Hindus in Leicester, and not just in Leicester, in other cities across UK. And it is well established that it was Majid Freeman who has expressed support for ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists, which is a problem for not just the British Indian community or British Hindu community, but for, the entire country, United Kingdom. So you have somebody like that who is, there is a group in Leicester called Active Leicester Muslims.
So why would he be doing so? Why would he be so accepting of Mr. Freeman's analysis?
Clearly, this is an extension of the Labour Party's policy that, towards India and towards Hindus. Clearly, it's an example of that.
Okay, let me get Wasik, who's an analyst, counter-extremism analyst from the UK. Wasik, my fear is that while an investigation is going on, you have elected officials already prejudging the outcomes. Can Leicester Hindus expect free and fair adjudication?
Well, Rahul, they should expect fair adjudication in regards to what has happened. But let's just cut to the chase. There's an independent inquiry taking place to determine what led to the riots in Leicester and what happened during those scenes over the course of a few weeks. Now, this inquiry has been commissioned by the local authority, the mayor himself in Leicester. However, as this inquiry has only barely started, I am perplexed that a conclusion has been reached already. Claims that the so-called Hindutva ideology was behind it seems to me to be a premature statement to make, particularly at this stage, since the conclusion of the investigation hasn't, or the inquiry hasn't even taken place. But not only that, to me it seems to reveal an apparent bias that completely ignores the role of Islamists in the riots. And in my view, the inquiry has been contaminated, and any conclusion reached with the mayor involved should not be trusted.
What can one do now, given the fact that the mayor itself is leading or has set up this independent inquiry and is now perhaps leading it to a conclusion? What can you do?
Well, I think he needs to be called out. I think that there needs to be some sort of governmental intervention at a higher level, because right now he's obviously revealed a position based on, I don't know entirely what he's based it on. The inquiry hasn't concluded, and I don't know where this is going to be going in terms of what conclusion they're going to be reaching. So in my view, I think someone higher needs to now get involved and actually remove him from this, because he's now compromised the inquiry by
Absolutely.
seeming to...
I think there is a serious reason, viewers, to doubt now the integrity, the credibility rather, of the inquiry process. And we know that members of the Hindu community today have written to the Prime Minister demanding safety for the community as we head into Diwali celebrations. One hopes that the British government is alerted to the problems that are being faced and will be more open-minded than the mayor. I leave it at this, viewers. We'll be tracking this story, no doubt. News are coming up.
Pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में?
नहीं हेमा मालिनी।
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी कल रात की सावन का देंगे। बनने नहीं देंगे। आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा। आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में? नहीं हेमा मालिनी। कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी कल रात की सावन का देंगे।
बहुत अच्छी बात है।
आपका क्या विचार है इस बार? आप
मेरा विचार क्या मैं बताऊं? मेरा विचार भगवान के ऊपर है। लॉर्ड कृष्णा विल डू इट।
मैं तो देश की सेवा के लिए ही पैदा हुई हूँ और मैं देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ। और क्यों नहीं, हमारे मोदी साहब, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी चाय बनाते बनाते प्रधानमंत्री जी पीएम बन सकते हैं, तो मैं बॉलीवुड में काम करते करते सीएम क्यों नहीं बन सकती हूँ? डेफिनेटली मैं बनूंगी। आप सबका आशीर्वाद चाहिए। तो 2024 में अब आप मुझे चुनाव लड़ते हुए देखेंगे। किसके अपोजिट? ये सरप्राइज है।
the show tonight, viewers.
Election Commission has announced Himachal Pradesh poll dates, voting to be held on 12th November, counting of votes to be held on December 8th. Priyanka Gandhi flagged off the Parivartan Pratigya rally and launched party's election campaign in Himachal Pradesh. To woo voters, Priyanka promised 5 lakh jobs to youth in the state. Trouble mounts for Muruga Mutt seer. Fresh FIR has been filed against the seer after 2 minors accused him and 6 others of sexually assaulting them. In a major trouble for Chhattisgarh Sarkar, ED has alleged poll funding scam in the state. As per the ED remand note, Chhattisgarh government ran a mining extortion racket along with traders. The extorted money was used to fund polls and bribing officials. The convoy of NCPCR chief Priyank Kanungo was shown black flags when he arrived to meet the family of a minor girl who was found dead in Bengal's Hooghly district. Haryana government demolished illegal property of notorious gangster Sandeep in Sonipat. He is a close associate of gangster Lawrence Bishnoi.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fight for Astha in the Gyanvapi case has taken a new turn. The Varanasi court today has rejected the plea filed by the Hindu side demanding carbon dating of the shivling-like structure found in the Wazukhana of the mosque complex. Defending its decision, the court made it clear that carbon dating process may damage the structure, which goes against the Supreme Court's May 17 ruling. The top court had ordered that the shivling found inside the Gyanvapi mosque should be protected. The Hindu petitioners called it a temporary setback, while the councils are all set to challenge this court's decision back in the Supreme Court. Listen in.
जो कार्बन डेटिंग की मांग है या अन्य वैज्ञानिक प्रणाली की मांग है, हम जो है पुनः हाई कोर्ट या सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे, लेकिन हिंदू समाज की अल्पकालिक झटका है, लेकिन इससे हम घबराने वाले नहीं है।
माननीय न्यायालय ने ये रीजनिंग दिया है क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 17 मई के ऑर्डर से इस एरिया को सील कर रखा था, इसीलिए अगर हम कोई भी ऑर्डर पास करेंगे तो वो उस ऑर्डर का उल्लंघन होगा। तो मैं आपके सामने बयान देना चाहता हूं कि इस ऑर्डर के अगेंस्ट हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे।
Even if there's no carbon dating, can these accounts and proofs be ignored? The 1965 UP government gazette records that Aurangzeb ordered the demolition of Hindu temples including Kashi Vishwanath in the year 1669. Aurangzeb's contemporary Saki Musta'id Khan in his book Masir-e-Alamgiri states that on orders of Mughal emperor the Kashi temple was demolished. The 1936 British map demarcates a portion of the temple which the mosque stands on today. On the other side, the Muslim side maintains that the fight is not over yet. Listen in to what they have to say.
आम जनमानस की धार्मिक भावना आस्था को भी ख्याल रखते हुए उनकी कार्बन डेटिंग की एप्लीकेशन निरस्त किया है। कोई जीत हार की बात नहीं है, ये एक इंटरलोक्यूटरी आर्डर है। इसका मेरिट पे कोई प्रभाव नहीं होगा। मेरिट पे तो एविडेंस से तय होगी।
With carbon dating out of the way for now, can Archaeological Survey of India, currently stayed by the Allahabad High Court, reveal the real truth? Remember, it was the evidence unearthed by the ASI that revealed how the temple existed beneath the mosque structure in the Babri Masjid case. From the pillars of the mosque having temple traces to water pitchers to terracotta sculptures, the clincher was discovered by the ASI. Not to forget that several temple traces have been found in the basement of the Gyanvapi mosque complex as well. Listen in to what the member of the Ram Mandir excavation process had to say.
I believe it is a shivling because it can't be a fawara or fountain. Nowhere such type of fountain has ever been found. The fountains which we get from the Mughal times, they are slender, and on the top there is something of a shape of a bird. Secondly, the water also is put inside the fountain with some pressure, and there is no pond or anything through which the water can come.
And that brings me to the legitimate question on the NewsHour tonight. Proofs pile up, but such buried? Is that the real situation of this Gyanvapi dispute? That's the question we're asking on the NewsHour tonight.
कोर्ट ने तो कुछ भी नहीं माना। कोर्ट को अगर बस चले तो ये भी कह दे कि मुसलमानों को हिंदुस्तान में रहने का हक नहीं है। आज की स्थिति ये है, आज की अदालत की स्थिति ये है, ये कोई भी सच्ची बात मानने को तैयार नहीं है। अब किसी दबाव में है या वो भी आस्था के तहत बह जाते हैं और उसी हिसाब से फैसला देते हैं। हमने जितने मजबूत कागजात, जितने मजबूत दलाइल पेश किए अदालत में, कोई दलील मानने को तैयार, 1936 का फैसला वो मानने को तैयार नहीं है।
You're watching the NewsHour at 9.
And joining me tonight on the show, Rahul Ishwar, activist, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Subhrashtra, author and founder of The Churn, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Majid Haidri, political analyst, also joining the NewsHour tonight. But my first question goes to Mr. Vishnu Jain, lawyer of the Hindu side, joining me live from Varanasi. Tonight, I want to ask you, Vishnu Jain, how do you interpret the order that has been given by the Varanasi court? Many are saying this, the end of the so-called quest for truth, because status quo continues, and that's exactly what the Muslim side wanted in this case. How do you see the verdict tonight?
No, Navika, very good evening to all of you, and I would like to say that it's not an end for a quest for truth, rather it's a beginning for a new struggle. The point is, I want to point out on your channel the order passed by the Supreme Court of 20th of May, and let me read and quote this para 2 subclause 1 of the Supreme Court. It specifically says, civil suit number 693 of 2021 shall stand transferred to the file of Civil Judge Senior Division Varanasi to the Court of District Judge Varanasi for trial, and all interlocutory and ancillary proceedings in the suit shall be addressed to and decided by the Court of District Judge. So the Supreme Court had specifically transferred the entire trial and asked the district judge to decide all the applications. Now today, if you will read the finding of the district judge, the honorable district judge has gone on to say that the Supreme Court has sealed these premises on 17th of May. So therefore, any order for ASI survey will violate the order of the Supreme Court. But the honorable court has failed to appreciate that the same judgment of the Supreme Court after 3 days of 20th of May has permitted the district judge to do it. And the point number 2, all these petitioners, because of this legal ramifications, had approached the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said that you approach the trial court and let the trial court decide the matters before the trial court. You file an appropriate application before the trial court. And in light of those directions, the petition was withdrawn before the Supreme Court and the trial court was approached. Now today it's like a like we are swinging from one court to the other court, because this court says that we can't do it because the Supreme Court has sealed it. Supreme Court says that you have to go to the trial court. So now we have no other option left but to again approach the Supreme Court. My other point is this, Navika, let me be very candid, that if one party is saying that this is a shivling, the other party is saying that it's a fountain, what's the medium of decision? Any panelist can tell me that how will this be decided? Will it be decided by a plebiscite, or it can only be decided by an expert opinion? On your channel only, Navika, in various oral debates, lot of allegations have been made and remarks have been made on the shivling. I don't want to make any remark. I am a lawyer. I want to prove my case through expert opinion. In Ram Mandir's case, there was an expert opinion which was ordered by the Honorable Allahabad High Court in 2002, and that became a benchmark for final decision of the case. So therefore, in this case, if we want to make a request that let there be a scientific investigation without destroying the shivling, without damaging the shivling, and the ASI director has gone on record to say that yes, it can be done. The court has not called upon the ASI to say that no, this demand cannot be fulfilled. The court has ex parte passed an order saying that no, this can't be done. Well, so in my legal opinion, this judgment is completely erroneous, and therefore we will challenge it in the Supreme Court.
Tehseen Poonawala raising his hand. Tehseen Poonawala, what's your point of contention?
Namaskar Navika ji, and namaskar to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers, and I'm sure Vishnu Bhai will challenge it in the higher courts, and that's his legal right, and he must. And for his party, he's fighting a good fight. There are 2 or 3 points that I want to put across. All of this dispute has absolutely got complicated because so much of politics has got involved. What was the original dispute? Navika and I've been with you on the show regularly since the Gyanvapi dispute started. It was a few women who wanted to pray. This has been stopped by an executive order of the government, then the Mulayam Singh Yadav government. This could have simply been undone by an executive order by the Adityanath government. The government in the first instance took its hands away. That's point number 1. Point number 2. Now, my appeal through your channel to all Muslim fellow citizens of India is, if the Hindu side does feel that it is a shivling, let us respect it till a scientific method is evolved that it is a shivling or no. But till such time, while that area is sealed, there must be absolutely no wazoo there. We as in Muslims cannot dip their feet within that area.
But that's been decided by the Supreme Court.
Yes,
you think the Muslim side will listen to you more than they'll listen to the Supreme Court?
That is sealed. Because it is sealed. But now that this orders come, there should not be a new complication or demand to reopen that order by the Muslim side. That will show good faith. Don't now go to the Supreme Court and say unseal it. Let it be. Let the
that
faith
is
of
sealed
the,
already.
Agree, but they should not go and appeal. That's point number 2. They should not go and appeal to the court, say now unseal it. So that should be a step of good faith taken by the Muslim side, and they must take that step. Point number 3, and a very important step. Look, there is one issue that I flagged yesterday and it's repeating today. What the Muslims are insecure is that the Places of Worship Act, which Vishnu Bhai challenged in another petition, will be abolished, and this will become a title dispute. That's what they are insecure about. That's point number 1. Now, whether the Places of Worship Act should be made insignificant or no, should be abolished or no, whether people should be allowed to worship here in the Hindu faith or no, that is a stand the government of India, the union government and the state government will have to take on affidavit. They have refused so far to take that stand on affidavit, and that affidavit needs to be put before the courts. That is something that the government should
Well, I think Tehseen Poonawalla, for once you're stumbling for facts to bolster your case simply because all of these have been decided by the Supreme Court. That the Wazoo Khana will remain sealed, Supreme Court has decided. That the government should file. Can I please?
What if you go in a petition?
No. So I'm saying that your point about Places of Worship Act and an affidavit by the government, 31st October is the deadline by which they have to submit it. So that date still hasn't really come. So what you're saying
even in this case, they haven't given an affidavit. Neither the union nor the state government. They haven't given an affidavit.
You are still charging the government of politicization of the whole matter.
They are.
I don't understand. Anand Ranganathan, Tehseen Poonawalla tonight is so confused. He says the whole case has been politicized and then accuses the government of not doing anything in the case. ये charge कैसा है? I'm not able to understand.
And good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, it's turning out to be really tragic because forget carbon dating. The destruction of Kashi Vishwanath has been dated exactly to 1669 by Aurangzeb. The half-demolished temple is right before your eyes, right there. Inside it, there are Hindu murals and deities. What more evidence do you want? Carbon dating cannot help. Ask a scientist or a geologist. I'm surprised people even suggested it. And more surprised that the court gave the wrong reason for not conducting it. You don't need to demolish the shivling or something, damage it. You need a few micrograms to do that dating. But the fact is, you can only conduct carbon dating on living organisms. The age of the rock, in this case the shivling, cannot be determined by carbon dating but by beryllium dating or argon dating, because rocks are hundreds of thousands or even millions of years old. So if the rock out of which the shivling is made of turns out to be 2 million years old, how would that help us in establishing anything? The age of the rock, Navika, tells us nothing about the age of the shivling or the fountain. Carbon dating will at best determine the age of dead bacteria or wood remnant in the rock crevice, but their age also isn't of any help. So as I said, the evidence has to be non-scientific, and it is there all around the Gyanvapi. Let me explain very briefly, 1 minute. Number one, it is beyond any doubt that Aurangzeb ordered the demolition of Kashi Vishwanath and ordered that the Gyanvapi mosque be built over it. It is written in the most authentic biography of Aurangzeb, Masir-e-Alamgiri, that in 1669, quote, on the orders of Aurangzeb, Kashi Vishwanath was demolished. The Farman is also archived in the Bikaner archives. And here is Sir Jadunath Sarkar's translation of Masir-e-Alamgiri, page 52, quote, Aurangzeb, eager to establish Islam, issued orders to the governors of all the provinces to demolish the schools and temples of the infidels, and which the utmost urgency put down the teachings and their public practice of the religion of these misbelievers, unquote. And yet, there are those who deny the Hindus their legitimate right to correct historical injustice, and principal among them, I'm afraid, are our legislature and the judiciary. To me, Navika, just 30 seconds, one of the most barbaric legislations ever enacted in India is the 1991 Place of Worship Act. A legal recourse to correcting historical injustices cannot be denied in a democracy. And this is not a Hindu issue, Navika. I as a Darwinian atheist, demand the abrogation of the place of worship at Navika. Just 30 seconds. If a mosque had been demolished by a Hindu king and a temple built on it, I, a kafir and an atheist for whom Islam sanctions death penalty, would have fought for the rights of Muslims to legally get back their mosque. Just 20 seconds. If an image could speak a million words, it would be that of the Nandi, waiting patiently for 400 years for his lord to emerge and this historical injustice to be corrected. Carbon dating of the Nandi would tell us nothing about his age or patience. Just like that of the Shivling, it wouldn't.
Vishnu Jain wants to come into the points raised by you. Vishnu Jain.
Navika, can I respond to Tehseen and to Mr. Anand?
Yes, please go ahead.
Navika, the point is this, that first of all I would like to respond to Mr. Tehseen Poonawala. In this case, the court has already ruled that by the judgment of 12th of September, that Places of Worship Act is not attracted. So please don't connect the petition of Places of Worship Act with this case, because we have already got that judgment that we were praying in the premises in question till November 1993. So Places of Worship Act is not attracted. Now coming to the point of Mr. Anand Ranganathan, whom I respect a lot and who's a very learned person, I would like to say with utmost sense of humility that we had not demanded carbon dating of the Shivlingam. We had asked for scientific investigation of the entire Vazu area and we had asked for excavation. अगर वहां पे excavation होगा तो पता चलेगा कि नीचे शिवलिंग का अर्घा है कि नहीं है। यहाँ पे ये एक्सरसाइज नहीं कंडक्ट की जा रही है कि शिवलिंग कितना पुराना है वो जांच की जाए। I am sorry, sir. With utmost sense of respect, I would like to say that we had asked for excavation of that entire Vazu area so that we can find our argha. We can determine the nature that whether it's a fountain or a shivlingam. But and for that, that was a demand. Anand sir, 10 seconds. Anand sir, just 10 seconds. I support you, Vishnu, in that. But if you've read the judgments, the court, the judges themselves say, we will not allow carbon dating. I am quoting from them verbatim. So they have muddled the whole issue, haven't they?
Also, the Places of Worship Act does apply. It does apply.
Yes, that's wrong, because we had clarified on 7th of October that we have not asked for carbon dating of the Shivlingam. The matter was reserved for orders. The court, instead of passing the order on 7th of October, asked a clarification from us. We clarified that we have not asked for carbon dating of the Shivling. Time and again we have made a statement at the bar that we want excavation of the entire area. And the Supreme Court has permitted to do so, to move such application. But the issue has been mixed up with carbon dating of the Shivlingam. Yes. And let me ask you another question. Yes. The ASI was not called for. The ASI director has gone on to record to say that this kind of scientific investigation is possible. The excavation is possible. But without asking any questions from the ASI, without calling the ASI, suddenly the application is rejected and on a wrong footing, on a wrong premise that we are asking carbon dating of the Shivlingam.
Well, but even though you say that it is an erroneous judgment, the fact of the matter is that the Joint Secretary of the Intizamiya Committee just 2 days ago had stated that courts in this country are under pressure and they don't listen to Muslims and they give every verdict against the Muslims. Now, in just the last 48 hours, there are 2 verdicts that actually have not gone against the Muslims at all. Whether it is the hijab verdict or whether it is the Gyanvapi verdict, both have not gone against the Muslims. So Mr. Majid Haidari, I want to ask you, Islam खतरे में तो नहीं है ना? Institutions मुसलमानों के खिलाफ तो नहीं है ना? कम से कम दोबारा कभी ऐसी बात तो नहीं करेंगे ना?
नाविका साहिबा, मैं तो ये कहूंगा कि सत्यमेव जयते. We have a collective belief that पंच के मुंह से परमेश्वर बोलता है. So in today's verdict, there is divine intervention. There is a divine message in this verdict. And that message, that verdict, this message is simple. Either follow the Places of Worship Act of 1991 or at least go by what Honorable Mohan Bhagwatji has said, that don't look for shivling beneath every masjid. So either you abide by law or you at least adhere to what Honorable Mohan Bhagwatji is saying. Because we need, at the end of the day, we need Hindu-Muslim unity. Forget about Hindutva, forget about quote-unquote Islamist, jihadist. At the end of the day, India needs Hindu-Muslim unity, and that can only come if we resolve this Gyanvapi issue through consensus. And the best consensus would be that if my Hindu brothers believe that the fountain is actually shivling. So with respect, let the Muslim community relocate that shivling to the mandir and the issue gets solved. Why do we need to drag it and make it a controversy for the next coming elections, for the Hindutva agenda, BJP's policies? We need to end this. Let's resolve it through this. Because there is a divine intervention. परमेश्वर ने कुछ आज कहा है वो आप समझिए.
Absolutely not. Shocking. Navika, can I?
No, what are you saying? What are you saying? Anand Ranganathan, Vishnu Jain, both raising their hands. Anand?
No, this is, with due respect to Mr. Hydri, this is further muddling the water and absolutely shocking. Number one, the evidence is in front of our eyes. The temple has been demolished, the mosque stands on it. Why would the Hindus accept the shivling being transferred to some other place? That is a temple, for heaven's sake. And number two, I asked this question the way I ended, my part of the debate. I ask again, Mr. Hydri, if a Muslim mosque or an Islamic mosque had been demolished and a king, Hindu king, had made a temple over it, would you not want that mosque to be returned to the Muslims? Yes or no?
There are two options. Either you adhere to the Places of Worship Act of 1991 or you believe in what Honorable Mohan
No, there is an option of challenging Places of Worship Act and that process is on in the court. That process is on in the courts. Rahul Ishwar wanting to come in. Rahul Ishwar, अब एक a new issue and a new solution has been found, which is likely to muddy the waters even more. If you want to call the structure, the disputed structure, shivling, then you take it and go away somewhere else और अपना मंदिर कहीं और बनाओ. ये what kind of a issue or a solution is being suggested?
Navika ji, I totally disagree with Hydri Saab when he says you have to take the shivling and go. That's not the solution. But I totally agree with him when he says India cannot survive without Hindu-Muslim unity. And I totally endorse Pujaniya Sarsanchalak Mohan Bhagawat ji when he says we need not search for shivling under every mosque. See, there are balanced positions on both sides. We all know that there is a cultural subtext, there is a socio-political subtext in this. But no, if you check history, there was 4 temples which was considered very important and people wanted to get back. One was Somnath temple with the blessings of Mahatma Gandhi, Sri K.M. Munshi and Sardar Patel went ahead and went with it. Then it was Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi. And RSS Sarsanchalak on record said we are not for any other agitations. There might be varied opinions because some people believe that almost 3,000 temples were demolished. Some people believe 40,000 temples were demolished. There were various opinions. Let us be very honest about it. But the issue is we cannot, on one side, there are historical injustices that need to be remedied. But on the other side, we cannot push our Muslim brothers into a panic mode. We need to find sensible solution. That's the reason why leaders of both communities should sit together and should talk to each other. KK Mohammed, who himself is from a very senior Muslim community member, came forward and said Kashi and Mathura are special for Hindus. These are Janmasthanams. They should be returned. If there can be some kind of consensus like this, because either we will end up in confrontation or we will end up in consensus. Let us not go for confrontation. There are some temples, because these are Janmasthanams are incredibly sacred. For a Hindu like me, Kashi is very sacred. Krishna's Janmasthanam Mathura is very sacred. So like Subramanya Swamiji rightly pointed out in Times Now day before yesterday, that some kind of consensus should be there and we should have a give and take policy. Otherwise our generations will end up in conflict with each other. And please remember, we cannot eternally search for any kind of deities under mosque, as Mohan Bhagawat ji rightly said. But I would request Muslim brothers to be sensitive about Kashi and Mathura because there is speciality associated with them. Let us talk to each other and find a consensus rather than confrontation.
You think consensus is possible, Majid Hydri? Do you think there can be a conversation? Do you think there can be a middle ground? Majid Hydri, first I want to know your view before I get in Subrashta ji and Anand Ranganathan.
See, Navika Sahiba, there are two decent, peaceful ways, harmonious ways of resolving it. Either we believe in Constitution that Places of Worship Act of 1991 does exist, or at least those who believe in Hindutva at least adhere to what the Mukhya ji is saying, what Honorable Dr. Mohan Bhagawat ji is saying. You don't want to adhere to law, you don't want to adhere to the voices of Hindutva ideologues, then what are you up to? Are you for a divide of Hindus and Muslims? Do you want to make a repeat of some kind of nano repeat of Babri Masjid? What are your plans? What are you?
नहीं बाबरी मस्जिद की बात
We are ready even for the relocation.
This is
where is Babri Masjid issue coming from? Where is it coming from? Repeat of Babri.
What only? See, Babri also started this way only. That Murti will be stopped there. Then they are saying, 2 women are saying they want to go for worship. After 30 years, they come out of slumber and they are reminded of the Asta towards Gyanvapi Masjid, which has been Aurangzeb's Masjid. I mean, there should be some logic behind this. How do you suddenly come up with all of a sudden a volcanic shock of Asta? From where does this Asta come, please?
No, where does this Asta come from? You know, look at the manner in which that question is being asked, and I want to ask.
With all due regards, I said it.
With all due regard, where does this Asta come from? With all due regard, where does this Asta come from? Well, because he added the word with all due regard.
It won't even give you a small playground to conduct Ganesh Chaturthi. As I said, what I respect the Hindus, 1 billion Hindus, is that they are seeking the courts and justice to correct a historical wrong. What can be wrong in that in a democracy? And I am absolutely perturbed and scared by the virtue signaling of my good friend Rahul Ishwar, who is behaving more like Rahul Gandhi and less like Rahul Shiv Shankar. For him to say that we want only 4 mandirs, who is he to decide which mandir is more important? I have my Kul Devi. I can say tomorrow that mandir is more important than Ram Mandir. Yeah, who are you to say that Krishna Janamsthan is more important than my Kul Mandir? Who are you to say Rahul Shiv Shankar?
I agree with Anand.
So please don't do virtue signaling. Any temple that has been demolished and a mosque built over it, a Hindu has a rightful and just right to demand a historical injustice be corrected in a democracy. Otherwise, let us fold everything.
Rahul Ishwar caught on the wrong foot, and I invited Anand Ranganathan Zayar. You want to respond?
No, I'm a huge admirer of Anandji. Anandji knows that. But just one submission. In the same way, if the Buddhists start demanding many temples, if the ancient, different castes demanding many temples, it will end up in a quagmire. See, let us be honest about it. We have to, we cannot survive without unity. There needs to be some kind of a middle ground. That's the reason why people like Subramanya Swami or Mohan Bhagavad Ji also emphasizing the point.
No, middle ground. Then what is the middle ground? Why do you say the middle ground is only after these 3 places, and middle ground is not after 6 places? Who is to decide where the middle ground definition will come from? That's a question, and I'm happy to invite also Kamru Zaman Chaudhary. I want to ask you. The question here is that there is always an issue, an atmosphere of the victim card being played. That the courts in this country are under the influence of the majority community. They are under pressure. Muslims will never get justice. That's the normal statement that is being made. Or to the other extreme, which says कि सरकार के पास चले जाओ because they are going to make a Hindu Rashtra out of this, and you can take whatever, and therefore Muslims are under threat. Islam is under threat. I want to ask you tonight, the judgment that has come from the Varanasi District Court, the judgment has not gone into the merits of the demand that was being made. It nowhere has said that the shivling is not a shivling or has gone into the matter. All it says is that if we go into a carbon dating technique, then there might be penetrating of the ground radar, and that might just damage the shivling, and it also goes against the Supreme Court's order, which says that you have to keep that completely safe, and it may, if anything, any damage happens to that structure, then it can create लिखा है जनता की धार्मिक भावनाओं को भी चोट पहुंच सकती है. So clearly it understands that this is an issue which is an emotional issue, an issue of faith which does impact the community. How are we to resolve this entire issue if not through a scientific process?
No, Navika, there are 2 issues and 2 aspects to this. First of all, my Hindu brothers and sisters of this country, they have got every right to know the history of this country. What happened to the temples, how they were destroyed, or how alternate temples were built by the Mughals, or whatever happened some 400 to 500 years ago. That is one part of the story. The second part is, you have a right to know history, but do you have a right to correct history? That is the important question after 500 years. Now you cannot just vilify the present day Muslims and say that, okay, look, Aurangzeb has done so much to us in terms of torture, in terms of destroying our temples. So now the present day Muslim, tumhara aastha ka koi jagah nahi hai. Now we will need to correct that part of the history. This is absolutely wrong, because once we gained independence in 1947, we provided ourselves a constitution, and the country runs on the constitution. The courts are there to decide on the merits of any case. In 1991, we promulgated the Right to Worship Act 1991, wherein there are plenty of disputes that are there in the country on religious and sectarian lines. They will be decided on those. But then this part I want to repeat, we have got a right to know our history, but do we have the right to correct history?
That is the problem. The Places of Worship Act of 1991 is the problem, Kamru Zaman Chaudhary, gifted by the Congress to this country. Because in a democracy, in a constitution,
Navika ji, this is wrong. The country, the constitution, the law enacted has been gifted to us by the country itself, by the parliament enacted this law.
May I complete my point, sir? May I complete my point, sir? May I complete my point, sir? I'm saying that if that law did not exist, then Hindus, if they had a dispute, could have gone to the court and sought a resolution on the matter in a constitutional manner, something that is ensured for them in the constitution. But the 1991 Places of Worship Act has blocked that route for the people of India, and that is where it becomes unfair in disputes like this. You are saying that 1991 backdates all the disputes, and situation of August 15, 1947 should prevail for everything, and no further disputes should be raised. Isn't that the real beginning of the problem, Vishnu Jay?
It's absolutely Places of Worship Act is an issue, and the constitutional validity of Places of Worship Act is under challenge before the Supreme Court. There are various questions on which the Supreme Court is going to determine the issue, that whether it is in violation of Article 300A, Article 14, Article 15, Article 21, Article 25, Article 27. But the point here, Navika, is that if we talk about Gyanvapi and Mathura, in both the cases we have secured orders from the court that Places of Worship Act is not attracted here. Places of Worship Act is a bad law. It takes away the right of judicial review. That's a separate question which is being deliberated upon in the Supreme Court. But my point here is this. I was listening to the various panelists. The point here is this, that if Order 26 Rule 10A of the CPC says that yes, a scientific commission can be issued, and we are asking for, and I'm again telling Navika, it's a big misnomer that we have asked for carbon dating of the Shivlingam. We had clarified on affidavit before the court. The ASI was not called for. The ASI director has gone on to record to say that yes, without touching the Shivlingam, scientific investigation can be done. And I want to ask you and request you and beg you today that please project my application on your channel, where the first prayer was ground penetration radar. In ground penetration radar, the Shivlingam will not even be touched. It will be ascertained that what's the length and breadth of the Shivlingam.
Why didn't you argue?
But the court has given an expert opinion without calling the experts.
Your application was rejected.
And therefore,
that's the moot point. That is the end.
Sir, I am arguing. Sir, yes, I know. So when Akbaruddin Owaisi comes on and gives his speech after the rejection of the court, why don't you ask Owaisi to go and argue in the court? He doesn't even argue in the court. I argue in the court, and I argue before the public also. And then definitely, sir, I will argue. And definitely, sir, I'll argue in the Supreme Court. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. See, if I disagree with the judgment of the court, definitely I have the right to come and say, yes, I disagree with the judgment of the court.
No, why not? Navika, I don't have the right. Navika, I want to ask a question. I don't have the right to come and say
fair point, but as things stand today, fair point, everybody has a right to go to a higher court, everybody has a right to challenge judgments that come out, everybody has a right to give their point of view, but as things stand today, your request has not been granted by the court, and that's the verdict today. What happens tomorrow when you go in appeal, we don't know.
Navika, I had been wanting to come for a very long time. Can I?
All right. I just want to ask. No, just I'll one question. I just want to ask a question with humility. I want to ask you actually. Navika, is this, as Vishnu Jain says, an act not under the POW, therefore women should be allowed to pray? Or is this, as Anand says, a title dispute? Because Anand's arguments are leading to a title dispute, and he says the temple should be reclaimed. So what is this dispute? And therefore by claim that somebody has to take a stand. Anand's stand is completely different from Vishnu Jain's stand, whereas the stand of Mr. Kamruddin and me is absolutely consistent, and Rahul is sure. So it is in the other party that there is a dispute in stand. Can we get clarity on what they want? Do they want their mosque to be a temple, or do they just want to pray there? Let's understand what they want.
Tehseen Punawala still hasn't understood what the question is.
Tehseen understands very well. Tehseen is asking Anand the question.
Tehseen, by all accounts, I need a lunch not only from you but from Kamru Bhai also. Because let me explain 2 points. Number one, Navika. सबसे पहले तो I think this should be breaking news on your channel, because Mr. Vishnu Jain has clarified that he never asked for carbon dating. And the judges have said we will not allow carbon dating. Now how can they allow or disallow something that was never asked for? That itself is amazing. Number two, this is also a fact that when you said that the Congress brought in the POW or Place of Worship Act, and Mr. Kamru immediately jumped on you and said, no, Congress didn't bring in, nation brought in. By that logic, was it Congress that overturned the Shah Bano judgment, or was it the nation? जब मन आता है तो कांग्रेस करती है, जब मन आता है तो नेशन करता है. The fact of the matter is, natural justice.
This is not a whataboutery situation. We are discussing a particular topic. Let's stick to that.
Yes, I am sticking to rebutting your point, which I found illogical. And
why are you bringing in the Shah Bano? You bring in the Shah Bano, triple talaq doesn't help.
Because by your logic, you would be saying that Congress did not overturn the Shah Bano judgment. It was the nation that overturned it. Correct? Because you are saying Congress did not bring in the POW Act, the nation brought it.
Can I please ask a lawyer? The Act of Parliament is not a political party's act.
I didn't interrupt.
भाई आपने दुखती रग पे हाथ रखा है तो थोड़ा रिएक्शन तो सुनना पड़ेगा आनंद रंग.
नहीं होगा नसों पे बहुत सारी नसें जो दुख रही हैं, मैंने सिर्फ एक पे हाथ रखा है. बट नंबर टू, हाउ कैन अ लॉ मेक एन एक्सेप्शन? How can a law make an exception for Ram Janambhoomi that the Place of Worship Act makes? Does it mean to say that claiming Krishna Janambhoomi is less important than claiming Ram Janambhoomi? ये कौन सा आर्बिट स्टैंड है भाई? मेरे लिए कृष्णा इज बिगर देन राम, आई कैन से. आप मुझे अलाउ नहीं कर रहे, लेकिन राम भक्तों के. सो इट इज अ टेरिबल बैड लॉ दैट प्रिवेंट्स हिंदूज फ्रॉम सीकिंग नेचुरल जस्टिस एंड टू करेक्ट हिस्टोरिकल इनजस्टिस. इस पे ओनली दोज पीपल, I'm afraid I am making a very strong statement, only those people who have an axe to grind and who love Aurangzeb can be against Hindus going to court legitimately and pleading for justice.
Why don't you relocate for the sake of Hindu-Muslim harmony?
Why don't you relocate?
Relocation Agria refuses to leave Majid Haidri.
And now you are saying relocate the
relocate.
Why don't you relocate Gyanvapi? Relocate Gyanvapi.
I am saying relocate the artifacts. Are artifacts more important?
They are not artifacts, sir. They are not artifacts, sir.
Before the mosque. If anything has to be relocated, it has to be the mosque. So why don't you, Mr. Haidri, the great
mosque is a structure, it's an immovable property, it's an immovable asset.
No, it is not.
So we are talking about something which can be relocated, which is movable, which is transportable. I mean, have some senses. A building is an immovable property.
My friend, let me tell you that your statement is not only against the feelings or beliefs of several Hindus, number one, but that's a grey area, neither here nor there, but it's also against the Supreme Court's order. The Supreme Court's order says कि आपको प्रिजर्व करना है और लोकेशन पे प्रिजर्व करना है। आप कह रहे हैं लेके चले जाओ भाई, लेके चले जाओ, ये कपड़े का टुकड़ा है।
नाविका साहिबा, दिस कैन बी एन आउट ऑफ कोर्ट सेटलमेंट एंड प्लीज टेक इट विद ड्यू रिगार्ड। करके जाएंगे, आदर से रखेंगे।
आउट ऑफ कोर्ट सेटलमेंट, कमरुज़्ज़मान चौधरी एंड तहसीन पूनावाला।
Tell me a Muslim who did not accept the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid order. But I can tell you several people, political people, who said if a Ram temple order is not given by the Supreme Court, India will become Syria. So look, Muslims have accepted the constitutional courts. They bowed their head before it. They may disagree with it, but they bowed their head before it. And I think that's the way it should be. So I think Anand still not clarified whether this is an issue of
so in this case, how many people are saying they will not believe the Supreme Court or any court?
OAC is BJP. Take it from me. OAC is Bharatiya Janata Party. OAC is here to terrorize this country.
Well,
take it from me.
Well, the only time I know he has been part of a government has been in the Congress regime
and Congress
as an alliance partner. So तहसीन पूनावाला ज्ञानवापी की हिस्ट्री ना आती हो तो कांग्रेस की हिस्ट्री तो पढ़ लो। कांग्रेस की हिस्ट्री तो पढ़ लो भाई। Kamruज़्ज़मान Chaudhary sahab wants to come in. Kamruज़्ज़मान Chaudhary, what is your contention when Majid Haidari and people like him suggest that these are artifacts which you can take and go away और कहीं और मंदिर बना लो? Do you think?
Navika, we have to be very sensitive about the people's sentiments of this country, because we Indians is 100% Astha-Jivis. There is nobody who is not an Astha-Jivi in this country. Let us take that for granted and let us accept the fact. There were some wrongs in the history. Aurangzeb destroyed thousands of temples in this country. Take it for granted. I have got a right to know what happened to in our history. But then Navika,
and I have no right to correct it, or I do not have a right to go to the court to get it corrected. Anand Rajanathan, that is the bottom line of the Congress party. I have the right to know what is in my history, but I have no power to correct it, and I do not even have the right to go to a court to get it corrected.
Kamruji, 2 points. Number one, may I humbly disagree with you. When you said that 100% Indians are Astha-Jivi, as you know, Tehseen and I both are atheists. I am Darwinian atheist. I don't know what quality of atheism.
Point decimal percentage, sir.
You don't matter.
मैं साइंस की तरफ से मेरी साइंस में आता है तो आप ठीक है, मैं आस्था जी।
I am also scientific. I also have science in my background history, but that doesn't give you any logic to hurt the sentiments of the Indians. Well, that is another question.
Well,
but
then, you know, the matter here is today the wait just got longer. Is it really an end to those who are in the quest of the truth, looking for a resolution to this entire issue of the Gyanvapi mosque? The question is, the wait just got longer. We don't know which way it's going to go, but clearly the quest for truth will continue. In what form, how it will be rewarded or rejected, we don't know. All eyes on that. The struggle just got longer. It's a full-blown war ahead of the Gujarat battle. And Aam Aadmi Party's Gujarat chief is on the BJP's radar for his past controversial videos. This time, Gopal Italia is under fire after another old video resurfaced where he is seen mocking Prime Minister Modi and his mother Hiraben. From calling the Prime Minister Modi a niche to advising women not to visit temple, the serial offender, according to BJP, enjoys patronage of Arvind Kejriwal. Listen in to the remarks of Gopal Italia that has triggered quite a storm.
इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, आप नीच किस्म के आदमी मुख्य वड़ा प्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी, मैं इस बात की पुष्टि नहीं करता हूं, लेकिन आज यहां पे चुनाव चल रहा है। मुझे आप सब लोगों से जानना है कि क्या भूतकाल में कभी भी किसी भी वड़ा प्रधान ने ऐसा नौटंकी किया है वोट देने जाने के लिए? ये नीच किस्म का आदमी यहाँ पे रोड शो कर रहा है और दिखा रहा है कि कैसे मैं पूरे देश को सी बना रहा हूँ, सी फॉर, समझ लीजिएगा। तो ये नीच किस्म का आदमी हमें ये संदेश दे रहा है कि मैं पूरे देश को सी बना रहा हूँ।
મારી તમારી માતા બહેનોને પણ રિક્વેસ્ટ કરવી જોઈએ કે હે મારી માવડીઓ, હે મારી બહેનો, હે મારી દીકરીઓ, કથાઓમાં કે મંદિરોમાં તમારું કંઈ વળવાનું છે નહીં, એ શોષણના ઘર છે। જો તમારે તમારો અધિકાર જોતો હોય, આ દેશ ઉપર તમારે શાસન કરવું હોય, સમાન દરજ્જો જોતો હોય, તો કથાઓમાં જે નાચવાના બદલે મારી બહેનો, મારી માવડીઓ, આ વાંચો।
આ નીચ નરેન્દ્ર મોદીની સભાનો ખર્ચો કેમ નથી માંગતા તમે? નીચ કિસ્મનો માણસ, એનો ખર્ચો માંગો। અને હીરાબા આવીને પાછા નાટકો કરે, આપણને બોલતા શરમ આવે એટલી મોટી ઉંમરના વ્યક્તિ વિશે, પણ એ લોકો નથી શરમાતા। 70 વર્ષનો મોદી થવા આવ્યો, હીરાબા પોતે 100એ પહોંચવા આવશે, તોય મારા બેટા બેમાંથી એક નાટકો બંધ કરતા નથી।
Launching a blistering attack, the BJP made it clear that people of Gujarat will teach Kejriwal and company a lesson in the upcoming polls. Listen to this strong rebuttal by Union Minister Smriti Irani.
Aam Aadmi Party leadership in Gujarat maliciously, in an abusive form, attacked the Pradhan Sevak's 100-year-old mother. Abuse of any woman is not permitted by any community. The fact that after abusing a mother who is not in politics, he seeks to hide behind new excuses, shows that the Aam Aadmi Party will use any political leverage, will use any community, will use any gender to meet their own political ends.
You're watching the NewsHour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Akashdeep Muni, political analyst. Tuhin Sinha, my question to you first. Gopal Italia and his old videos, are these the weapons with which the BJP is going to go into the Gujarat elections? Because the repeat offender's third video is surfacing, and one way or another it seems like, and that's the charge by the Aam Aadmi Party, that the Aam Aadmi Party has got under the BJP's skin. How do you respond to that?
Well, good evening, Navika ji. Sadly, what we have noticed in the past few years is that every time the opposition of this country realizes that they are staring at an imminent, humiliating defeat, in their abject despondency and frustration, they start unleashing the worst abuses upon the Prime Minister and his family members. So just when Mani Shankar a year way back in 2014 realized that, he can't stop, or they can't stop Modi ji from becoming the Prime Minister, he started using the term niche, he started abusing him for his chaiwala antecedents. Then Raj Babbar, in fact, also abused Modi ji's mother just before the previous Gujarat elections. But when it comes to the Aam Aadmi Party, the matter becomes all the more grave, because this is a party which has well pronounced open Naxal antecedents. Look at the kind of language Italia has used. He uses the C word, he calls the Prime Minister niche, he mocks the Prime Minister's mother, and he also vilifies temples and temple-going Shraddhalus. Is this what the Aam Aadmi Party stands for? And there is not a word of regret from any Aam Aadmi Party leader. This is the Aam Aadmi Party which was presiding over the worst conversion in recent times in Delhi. The minister who has finally been removed, their minister who has finally been removed, was at the core of it. And this is also the Aam Aadmi Party which was presiding over the Delhi riots through people like Tahir Hussain, their previous corporator. So, I think Aam Aadmi Party has a lot to explain. These are urban Naxals, and I think India today has reached an inflection point. If you don't have anything to offer, at least stop abusing somebody who holds a constitutional post, who has done so much for the country and his family members. I think this is that inflection.
Akashdeep Muni, my question to you is, in politics, well, there are points of view, there are during elections heated exchanges that take place. Well, crossing the line in the terms used for the Prime Minister is bad enough. But to use such language for a lady who's probably in her 90s, to use such undignified statements for her, that really is so below the belt, so below the belt. आप अपनी माँ के बारे में कुछ सुनना चाहेंगे? आप सुन सकेंगे? आप सुन सकेंगे? और मैं कहना चाहती हूँ, कई चीजों में ग्रे एरिया होता है, कई चीजों में ग्रे एरिया होता है कि चलिए इलेक्शन के गर्मी में कुछ कह दिया, पर किसी की माँ के लिए जो वो पॉलिटिक्स में नहीं है, उनको क्यों घसीटा जा रहा है? 90 साल से अधिक की उम्र है उस महिला की, और वो महिला माँ है किसी की। आप इस कदर की भाषा इस्तेमाल करेंगे और कोई भी सीनियर लीडर आकर ना एक्शन लेगा, ना खेद प्रकट करेगा, ना माफी मांगेगा। ये सभ्यता है क्या? ये हमारा कल्चर है क्या?
मैं रिप्लाई करता हूँ, सारे सवालों को रिप्लाई करूंगा एक एक करके। पहला तो चीज देखिए, तुहिन सिन्हा जी ने जो भी बोला है, it is out of the box. You know why? I'll give you example. Mani Shankar said during what he had said, I'll not repeat that word, was during politics when the election was going on. Whatever Gopal Italia had said was in 2018, 4 years ago. So don't bring old videos to subside for the election defeat that BJP is looking forward to. First. Second point.
So it's an old video.
Second point.
So it's an old video, so he can say whatever he wants.
No, second point.
Old video है, और अगर इलेक्शन के दौरान नहीं है, आकाशदीप, 1 minute. If it is not even in the heat of the elections, then it's worse. If it's not even in the heat of the election, it's worse.
Now I am replying to you on the comment thing. Uttarakhand BJP MLA said that use foul language for our Hindu gods and goddesses. What action has BJP has taken? Parvesh Verma ji has said bad words, abusive language about a sitting chief minister of Delhi, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. What action BJP has taken? Can you, Navika ji, you are saying so many things. Can you show that video where Parvesh Verma is saying something about Kejriwal? Can you show it on national television? It's so abusive. So
you're competing. So you are competing.
I'm not comparing. I'm just saying that.
No, not comparing, competing.
It's not action, not taking any action against their abusive leaders.
So the mother of the Prime Minister can be called names, and you will justify that also. Is that what you are saying?
No, I'm not justifying that. That is all about what happened in 2018.
तो 2018 में तब भी वो 90 प्लस थी. My friend, she was 90 plus even then. Was it okay then? Was it okay then? I just want to ask you. I just want to ask you.
Navika ji, was it okay to say about Saraswati ji, Lakshmi ji, and all the gods and goddesses what the BJP MLA has said? You have heard it. I'll not repeat it.
Tuhin Sinha respond.
Is it correct?
Tuhin Sinha respond. There seems to be a competition of kinds.
में कोई उसने बातें कही थी, वो तो मतलब और भी ज्यादा गंभीर बना देती। क्या वही क्राइटेरिया था उसको गुजरात का आम आदमी पार्टी प्रेसिडेंट बनाने का?
आप बताएं कि ना कि जो हिंदू देवी देवताओं के अगेंस्ट में बोला गया, क्या वो सही था?
नेता बन सकता है?
बीजेपी के एमएलए, नाम ले लूं यहाँ पे, बीजेपी के एमएलए ने जो
क्या आप उस वीडियो के बारे में जानते थे? क्या वही क्राइटेरिया था उसको आम आदमी पार्टी करने गुजरात में चुनाव में लगे? क्या बातें कर रहे हैं आप?
Akashdeep Muni ji, the man in question is the president of the Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat. He is the president of the Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat. I want to ask you, is this what you want to demonstrate to the people of Gujarat? This language and this kind of behavior, is this what you are demonstrating?
This is a very interesting thing to pull out everything, all the videos, but not talk about health, not talk about education, not talk about the development of the state. Now tell me how many mohalla clinics are there in Gujarat? How many mohalla clinics are there? What? How many education? What is the ranking of education? The
only defense the Aam Aadmi Party and their supporters have to offer is, oh, you're distracting attention away from the issues that matter to Gujarat. But I want to ask, don't people in Gujarat look at the character and the demeanor of the leaders who are putting forward their contentorship for the position of getting the people's votes. Using such foul language for the Prime Minister was bad enough, but using it for his mother? Is that even acceptable by any Indian? Forget in Gujarat? I'm just asking this question. Repulsive is what I would call this behavior, and an apology. Hamari Bharatiya Sanskriti, our Indian culture tells us to respect our elders, and it can be anybody. It can be my enemy's mother, but can I use such language for them? No, I can't, because that is not the way Indians are made. Why is this being accepted? And can no senior leader apologize even if the chief of the Gujarat Aam Aadmi Party doesn't want to or doesn't realize his mistake? Let's just leave it at that, because this is unacceptable. Thank you for joining me on the NewsHour tonight. Good night, viewers. Be safe.
You were watching the NewsHour at 9. Stay tuned. You're watching the NewsHour at 9.
Election Commission has announced Himachal Pradesh poll dates, voting to be held on 12th November, counting of votes to be held on December 8th. Priyanka Gandhi flagged off the Parivartan Pratigya rally and launched party's election campaign in Himachal Pradesh. To woo voters, Priyanka promised 5 lakh jobs to youth in the state. Trouble mounts for Muruga Mutt seer. Fresh FIR has been filed against the seer after 2 minors accused him and 6 others of sexually assaulting them.
Welcome, you're watching the NewsHour Agenda. I am Padmaja Joshi. Today, the District Court in Varanasi turned down a plea seeking carbon dating and scientific investigation of a shivling structure that has been found in the center of a wuzu khana in the Gyanvapi mosque. The move was seen as a setback for the worshippers who have for long claimed that the structure in the Gyanvapi is a shivling and not a fountain. Soon after the judgment, the gloating had started. But first, let's tell you about the reasons for the rejection because they are purely technical. The court in its order says that carbon dating of the shivling-like structure may cause it damage and that this will lead to a violation of the Supreme Court's order. Why? Because remember, the Supreme Court in its order from the 17th of May had directed the District Magistrate of Varanasi to ensure that the area where the shivling is said to have been found is duly protected. Now, after the order, the familiar refrains started. The petitioners should just leave the case. The case is unnecessarily vitiating the atmosphere in the country. Many even asked, why drag out the entire dispute, which will only serve to divide the country?
इसे दूसरी बाबरी मस्जिद बनाने की कोशिश नहीं करनी चाहिए। पहले जिला डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट के अंदर चले, फिर हाई कोर्ट के अंदर चले, एक एक मुद्दे पे एप्लीकेशन दी जाए, उस एप्लीकेशन पे बहस हो, लगातार ये चलता रहेगा। ये सेंसिटिव इशू है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट को ये राइट है कि वो सीधा इस मामले को देखे और फैसला करे।
तो जांच की क्या जरूरत है? अव्वल तो ये है कि जहाँ तक ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद या कोई भी मस्जिद हो, उसके अंदर कोई हिंदू धर्म की कोई चीज होने का कोई सवाल पैदा नहीं होता। ये धार्मिक मामला है, मजहबी मामला है। जो बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट है ये इस वक्त हमलावर है मस्जिदों पर, तो इसका मतलब ये कि प्लानिंग के साथ में ये काम किया जा रहा है।
Which brings us to our question today. Is this indeed the end of the road for the shivling petitioners? Should they give up their claim in the interest of communal harmony, as Rashid Alvi seems to suggest? Does the legal process vitiate the atmosphere of the country? And can truth be held hostage to a timeline? You're watching the NewsHour at 10, debate number 1, on Times Now, Super Prime Time. Alright, joining us on the debate, we have Harishankar Jain, lawyer, B.R. Mani, director at the Archaeological Survey of India when the Ayodhya excavation was taking place, Sri Raj Nair, national spokesperson of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Bilal Khan, lawyer, and Haji Mehruddin Rangrez, Islamic scholar, is with me in the studio. But I want to start with you, Mr. Harishankar Jain. Is this the end of the road, and how long is this going to stretch? Many people think अब ये एक ping pong होती रहेगी, Supreme Court, District Court, Supreme Court, District Court. कब तक चलेगा?
देखिए मैडम पद्मजा, वी आर फाइटिंग फॉर जस्टिस एंड एवरीबडी हैज ए राइट टू फाइल ए केस इन कोर्ट. इफ फाइलिंग ए केस इन कोर्ट you suggest or attribute some motive that it will be disastrous for the nation or for the community, then with due respect I say that no. For the cause of justice, Hindus have suffered for more than 800 years the atrocities of the Muslims, and they are not taking law in their own hands. They are not doing anything on road. They are not saying Sar Tanse Juda. They are only fighting in court, and in court we are asserting our right. The first thing is that what was being said by Mr. Alvi, that is very sorry affair. I say that no Muslim should say like this, they give up for the cause of so and so brotherhood. When you demolish our temple, where was brotherhood? When you demolish our temple, what was the humanity? When you butchered Hindus, where was the humanity and brotherhood? And you are now preaching for brotherhood at the cost of Hindus, at the cost of our cultural heritage. You want to capture it for long? No.
Okay, let's start with your opening comments. हाजी मेहरुद्दीन रंगरेज, आज जब लोग कोर्ट में लड़ रहे हैं माइंड यू, नेता आकर के कह रहे हैं कि भाई इससे देश में माहौल खराब हो रहा है, वो इसलिए लड़ रहे हैं क्योंकि उनको अपना हक चाहिए, वो किसी के माहौल खराब करने के लिए नहीं लड़ रहे हैं.
अच्छा, मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा माहौल क्या 92 में कैसा माहौल बना था देश का, तो ये वही उसे दोहराया जा रहा. और मैं आपको एक बात और बता दूं कि ये जानबूझकर असली जो देश के मुद्दे हैं उनसे भटकाकर इस मुद्दे पर लाना चाहते हैं. और जो हमारे ये जैन साहब हैं, मैं इनसे एक सवाल करना चाहता हूं, इनसे पूछना चाहता हूं, कितने सारे बुद्धिस्टों को, जैनियों के मंदिर तोड़ के सनातन धर्म के लोगों ने अपने मंदिर बनाए, क्या उनके लिए कभी ये उनकी लड़ाई लड़ेंगे? मगर ये उनकी लड़ाई नहीं लड़ेंगे. इनसे इत्तेफाक तो 5 बहनें भी नहीं रखती, 4 बहनें इनसे इत्तेफाक रखती हैं, एक नहीं रखती. तो इनके तो ऊपर पहले ही संदेह का मामला है और इनके खिलाफ क्या क्या नहीं कहा गया, वहां के लोगों ने क्या क्या नहीं कहा.
ओके, नो पर्सनल अटैक्स प्लीज. नहीं, ये
पर्सनली मैं बता रहा हूं सिर्फ.
नहीं, मत बताइए, किसी की पर्सनल अटैक्स मत कीजिए, मुद्दे पे बात कीजिए. हाँ.
तो ये जो मामला है ये असली मुद्दों से भटकाने का मामला है. ये कोई मामला ही नहीं है. मामला है 5 श्रृंगार, मैं बता दूं, 5 हमारी बहनें जाती हैं कोर्ट में.
सर, इसकी हिस्ट्री हमें पता है. एक सेकंड, आपने जो बात कही 92 की, nobody can forget 1992. So if you are saying that Rashid Alvi's fears are unfounded, here Mr. Rangrez says they are not. Everyone remembers 92. Mr. Jain.
देखिए 92 occurred. Why it occurred? Why it was so? Then I may tell you that the court did not decide the matter. Even for Sanketik Karseva, court did not heard. Therefore, we had no alternative. And whatever was done, that was the no doubt sorry affair. But the Karsevaks had no option but to demolish, because their simple demand for a Sanketik Karseva, that was not accepted. Number 2, when we will not be allowed to go to court, as my opponent is saying, I am surprising that if I go to court, you are making personal attack on me. Whatever being said in court, several things are being said against you also. I am not quoting that. And not only this, we have not uttered a single word on media or anywhere against anybody, even against Muslims. It is only fight for the cause of justice.
Mr. Kalimul Hafiz, it's a fight for the cause of justice. To browbeat somebody in a fight for justice, why is that okay? Everyone has the right to go to court. Even criminals have the right to legal representation. So why shouldn't Harishankar Jain? मिस्टर कलीमुल हाफिज, अगर आज लोग कह रहे हैं अगर आज लोग कह रहे हैं कि ये हरिशंकर जैन इसलिए जा रहे हैं, उनको छोड़ देना चाहिए, इतना लंबा खिंच रहा है, माहौल खराब हो रहा है, दैट इज ब्राउ बीटिंग समबडी आउट ऑफ देयर लीगल राइट।
मैडम, मुझे आपका सवाल सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, शायद मेरे यहाँ तो सिग्नल वीक है, मैं आपके आवाज पूरा सवाल सुन नहीं पा रहा।
जी सर, तीसरी बार कोशिश करती हूं। सवाल ये है कि क्या किसी को ये बोलना कि आप कोर्ट में जा रहे हो तो माहौल खराब कर रहे हो, उनको उनका लीगल राइट डिनाई करना नहीं है बाय थ्रेटनिंग देम सेइंग यू आर ओनली स्पॉइलिंग द एटमॉस्फेयर? मिस्टर कलीमुल हाफिज,
अभी भी मैं नहीं सुन पाया, थोड़ी आवाज।
we will just try and fix that. Let me get in Mr. B.R. Mani. Mr. Mani, as somebody who was at the helm of Archaeological Survey of India, how long do you think this process is going to take? Today the court has said carbon dating nahi ho sakti. First of all, is there any other way to determine the nature of the structure, what it is? Mr. Mani.
I think that the Ayodhya case had dragged for more than 100 years, and I'm not sure how the court will give this decision in this particular case at the earliest. Now there are two issues. One relating to carbon dating, and it is very well known, and everyone who is an archaeologist or a scientist knows that the stone cannot be radiocarbon dated because it doesn't contain the carbon material. So there is no question of carbon dating. If it has been put in the way that carbon dating has to be done, it's not possible.
Okay, so then what is the way out? How can one make any determination of what the structure is?
The structure fully, if it is understood, if the experts are involved who can iconographically suggest that this is a shivling, and with evidence if they can provide, that can be accepted. Secondly, the same thing applies to the other party to prove that this is a fountain. And the way out can be in two ways. One is if the court allows the lowest part of the this particular structure, which is so-called shivling, to be exposed as the upper part is exposed. If the lower part gets exposed and a 2 by 2 meter trench is put there, so maybe the earth may have the carbon contents which can give a relative dating of the establishment of this structure.
Okay. Okay, so interesting. There are other avenues still open. Sriraj Nair, what do you make of this argument that this could be an unending process?
Well, we are very hopeful. I always tell you on your channel that truth cannot be your truth, truth cannot be my truth, truth is truth. And as you rightly said, everybody has a fundamental right to approach the honorable courts to seek justice. Today a decision has come, and we respect the court's verdict, and we will, and I am hopeful the petitioners will explore all the possible legal ways and means, and the truth will prevail. We all know, and I appreciate Mr. Mani, who has thrown some light on what all possibilities are there in front of all of us, and even in the front of honorable courts.
No, but what would you say to people कि देखिए आपको लग रहा था कि आपको कुछ बहुत बड़ा आज अच्छा जजमेंट मिलने वाला है. You basically have been told by the court, thank you, nothing doing. That this is a fruitless exercise.
No, it's not that way. See, No, no, in your initial address you said certain technicalities. See, the court has also said about the technical parts. So there are other ways and means to explore, and the petitioners will explore the further legal ways, and we are very sure this kind of hurdles we have seen even in the Ram Janmabhoomi case also, and we have seen the case went on for decades, and at the end of the day justice prevailed. So here also we are very sure justice will prevail, and this will make way for Gyanvapi Mandir. And there was never a mosque. We all know the invaders, how they came. Hindu dharma is the indigenous dharma religion of this nation, and we all know what the past is all about. We had a brutal barbaric past.
Okay.
So the courts
so Kalimul Hafiz, the Ram Janmabhoomi battle was fought in the courts for over 100 years. This is only a few years. This is just a hiccup, not a setback, says Sri Raj Nair. Kalimul Hafiz. कलीमुल हाफिज साहब, आपको आवाज आ रही है? जी, आपका ऑडियो म्यूटेड है, क्या आप अपना ऑडियो अनम्यूट कर सकते हैं?
मैंने अनम्यूट कर रखा है।
हाँ जी, ये सिर्फ एक टेम्पररी सेटबैक भी नहीं है, एक छोटा सा हिकअप है, इस पे इतना सेलिब्रेट करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, कह रहे हैं श्री राज नायर।
हाँ, जाहिर बात है। देखिए, ये लीगल प्रोसेस है, लीगल प्रोसेस में जो कोर्ट जरूरी समझ रहे हैं, अब चूंकि जो दूसरा पक्ष है वो तो किसी न किसी तरह से चाहता है कि जल्द से जल्द मुस्लिम पक्ष को परेशान करके पूरा एक जो उनका क्लेम है उसको सही साबित किया जाए। लेकिन जो ऑनरेबल कोर्ट्स हैं वो समझते हैं कि उनको क्या बेहतर से चाहिए। अब कार्बन डेटिंग का मामला था, ये तो जाहिर बात है पहले से पता था कि इसमें तो जीवाश्म होता है, वहां पे कार्बन डेटिंग होती है, लेकिन माहौल को गर्म रखने के लिए और थोड़ा सा बेवकूफ बनाने के, गुमराह करने के लिए उस सब का खूब सारा इस्तेमाल हुआ, हम भी सुन रहे थे। लेकिन हमारा मानना यह है कि वो एक मस्जिद है, उसमें एक वजू खाने का द्वारा है। अब वो
माहौल को गर्म करने की कोशिश है, मामले को लटकाना और लोगों को भटकाना। हरिशंकर जैन,
देखिए, जरा मैं एक बात क्लियर कर दूं, वी हैव नॉट डिमांडेड एग्जैक्टली कार्बन डेटिंग, वी हैव सेड दैट बाय साइंटिफिक मेथड दिस लिंगम बी एग्जामिन्ड, कार्बन डेटिंग और अदरवाइज इंक्लूडिंग साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन एंड जीपीआर सर्वे वी हैव डिमांडेड, एंड सो फार एज आई हैव अंडरस्टूड Mr. Mani,
का मतलब
Director of ASI has just now said that it is possible to examine. Number 3, the demand is that scientifically it should be examined.
आपकी साइंटिफिक जो टेस्टिंग है उसको सही नहीं मानता, यानी आपका जो पूरा आर्गुमेंट है, हम तो समझ रहे थे सिर्फ कार्बन डेटिंग है, लेकिन
देखिए ऐसा है, आप
टेस्टिंग पर वो नहीं मानता।
आप खुश हो लीजिए, आप खुश हो लीजिए, केस बहुत वीक है, आपका केस बहुत स्ट्रांग है, जब जजमेंट आएगा फाइनल तो मालूम पड़ जाएगा। वो आज इशू नहीं है, इशू ये है कि जो फव्वारा या शिवलिंग है वो एग्जामिन हो कि ना हो, आफ्टर आज नहीं तो कल, टुडे टुमारो इट हैज टू बी एग्जामिन्ड, इट हैज टू बी।
आज नहीं तो कल होगा ही होगा। रंगरेज,
मैं बताना चाहूंगा, ये जो भय फैलाया जा रहा है ना कि उसे शिवलिंग, जो देखिए जो ये अपमान किया जा रहा, बाकायदा शिवलिंग का अपमान कर रही है विष्णु शंकर जैन जी, जो फवारा है उसे आप शिवलिंग बताकर कथित, देखिए कोर्ट कमिश्नर ने क्या कहा, एक काले नुमा एक पत्थर मिला था। इन्होंने ये जाते अपने बेटे को फोन करते हैं और जाके कोर्ट में कहते हैं जी वहां पे तो शिवलिंग मिल गया, तो वहां पे जो कोर्ट जो है वो स्टे देती है कि भाई उसको जो है घेर के उसकी जो है वो पूरी वो कर दो। देखिए ये सब चीज समझनी पड़ेगी, किस कौन से मौके पे क्या माहौल बनाया जा रहा। आने वाले जो बीजेपी का मैनिफेस्टो होगा ना मैडम, उसमें भी मेरे को लग रहा है कि ये वाला ज्ञानवापी वाला मुद्दा उसमें भी वो लेकर आएंगे कि हम इसको हल करेंगे। ये तो पॉलिटिक्स चल रही है, इसमें पूरी राजनीति का एक
और उसमें डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट मिले हुए हैं,
और इसमें कौन
मैनिफेस्टो बनाने के पूरे
बिल्कुल
प्लॉट में डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट भी मिला हुआ है।
अरे सर, वो तो सरकार के अधीन आते हैं ना सब चीजें, तो
वैसे जुडिशरी एकदम अलग होता है।
कहा था, बताइए किस कौन से उसमें लिखा था,
मतलब जुडिशरी जो है सरकार के। हरिशंकर जैन जी विल रिस्पॉन्ड, देन आई विल गेट इन श्री राज नायर। यस, एंड कलीमुल हाफिज।
देखिए ऐसा है, विद ड्यू रेस्पेक्ट,
I have not said anything against the court up till now. Even though my application is rejected, I have not said. Whenever any order is passed against them, they say no justice here. What do you want to say? We want every order if passed in favor of Muslims, then justice is there. For me, court and justice.
शंकर जी, आप ये बताइए कि जब उसके अंदर जो जिसे आप शिवलिंग बता रहे हैं और फवारा बता रहे हैं, तब उसके अंदर वो डाली गई साई तो वो कितने सेंटीमीटर अंदर गई थी? आप बताइए।
अरे सर वो आप छोड़िए ना, अभी आप कहाँ पे पूरा अपना टेक्निकल एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं। हमसे ज्यादा विद्वान लोग जो है वो करेंगे, कोर्ट के आदेश पे करेंगे। कलीमुल हाफिज वाज टू कमेंट। कलीमुल हाफिज, अब वो कितने सेंटिमीटर गई, कितने इंच गई, कितने फीट गई, वो आप कोई और करेगा। मनी साहब हैं आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे पे, जैसे वो बताएंगे। अरे आप उस पर मत जाइए ना, आप उसमें मत जाइए। हम में से कोई भी एएसआई का नहीं है, मनी साहब एएसआई के हैं, वो कह रहे हैं अभी भी हो सकता है।
देखिए
कलीमुल हाफिज,
ये जो है, जो आरएसएस चीफ मोहन भागवत जी ने कहा है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी और आरएसएस वालों को अब हर जगह शिवलिंग नहीं ढूंढना चाहिए, उस पर अमल करना चाहिए, और आज कोर्ट ने उस पर मोहर लगा दी। अब बेहतर ये होगा कि ये जितने भी लोग हैं जो बिला वजह
आज आप बड़े आरएसएस चीफ के भक्त हो गए, क्या बात है कलीमुल हाफिज साहब। आज आप कह रहे हैं कि मोहन भागवत जी की बात सुननी चाहिए। मुझे तो लगता था आप उनकी किसी भी बात पे विश्वास नहीं करते। चलिए आपकी श्रद्धा तो है उनमें, अच्छी बात है।
नहीं हमारी है, उन्होंने तो कहा है कि हमारा और आपका डीएनए एक है, हम इस बात से भी इत्तेफाक रखते हैं, हम तो उनकी हर बात पे इत्तेफाक रखते हैं।
अरे आज सब लोग मोहन भागवत जी से इत्तेफाक रखते हैं, तो बहुत ही खुशी की बात हो गई। चलिए सबका साथ सबका विकास हो रहा है।
जो काम मोदी जी को करना चाहिए था वो मोहन धरन पे बैठे हैं, वो काम तो वो कर रहे हैं मोहन भागवत जी।
इनको
एक अच्छी पहल कर रहे हैं, तो कि मोदी जी को करनी चाहिए थी। जब पूरे देश में नफरत का माहौल है, तो उसमें अगर बुझाने का काम करना चाहिए था तो मोदी जी को करना चाहिए।
चलिए अच्छी बात है रंजीत जी, आज आपको श्रद्धा है मोहन भागवत जी में, क्या पता कल आप मोदी जी को भी कहें कि वो भी एकदम पीस के मसीहा हैं।
वो तो वक्त बदलते, वो तो मस्जिद में जाने को तैयार नहीं, वो तो 80% लोगों के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, 20% के लोगों के लिए उन्हें कोई परवाह ही नहीं है।
टोपी तो मोहन भागवत जी भी नहीं पहनते, पर आज आप उनकी बातों पर गौर तो कर रहे हैं ना, अच्छी बात है।
प्रधानमंत्री सबका होता है या एक कम्युनिटी का होता है, आप बताइए।
सबका होता है, जैसे कि मोहन भागवत भी सबके, आप खुद ही मान रहे हैं।
तो भागवत जी की बात को तो हम सराह रहे हैं ना, मोदी जी की बात को नहीं सराह रहे।
चलिए
अच्छी को भी पहल करनी चाहिए।
अच्छी बात है। और कुछ होना हो श्रीराज नायर, कम से कम ये पूरा जो मुद्दा है उन्होंने इट हैज गॉट एडमायरर्स फॉर मिस्टर मोहन भागवत। Today, Kalimul Hafiz of the AIMIM and Mr. Rangrez are very, very fond believers in the words of Mr. Mohan Bhagwat.
Yes, that's what Param Pujya Mohan Bhagwat ji had said, that our DNA is same. They should respect their ancestors. Their ancestors are not Arab migrants. So we all know who their ancestors were. They're all late converts. So let them respect their ancestors. All the problems will be solved. एक कलीमुल साहब, आप अपने पूर्वजों का रिस्पेक्ट करिए, पूरे प्रॉब्लम, सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएंगे। आप अरबी नहीं है, आपके पूर्वज जो है इसी भूमि, इसी धरती के
आप मन से ऐलान करते हैं कि इनकी लिंचिंग कर दो, इनका सामाजिक बहिष्कार कर दो, एक सारे विश्व हिंदू परिषद का क्या रोल है भाई बताना।
Okay, let's not go off track over here. Let me ask a final question to Mr. Mani. If there is another kind of scientific investigation, Mr. Mani, that you spoke of, which is possible, how long could that take? And that will just determine how old the structure is. Even then, how will we know whether it's a fountain or a shivling? We will just know its age. How will we know its nature?
It's very simple to determine whether it is a shivling or a fountain. I have seen thousands of fountains belonging to early Mughal period and late Mughal period, and none of them is like this structure. That is first thing. Secondly, that if the court allows to see the base of this structure, then it is possible to find out what is buried within the soil. If there is any charcoal remains, then it can be easily scientifically dated. So, the other aspect to determine whether it's a shivling or it's a fountain is to see the base at least because if there is a water channel coming up to the top, it has to come from the base only. So with the siphon system, the water was allowed to come over it and then flow as a fountain. So that can also establish whether it's a fountain or a shivling. But the base has to be examined first.
All right. So there are methods, there are processes, there is legal recourse which is still available to the petitioners. One way or the other, it must be allowed. It must be judged by our courts of law, and no one must be browbeaten into saying, give up your claim simply because you are spoiling the atmosphere of the country. Let's leave it at that. Thank you very much, all gentlemen, for having joined me. When rampant violence rocked Leicester and Birmingham just a few months ago, we showed you how Hindus living in the UK were targeted, threatened and attacked and abused. They were called piss drinkers, cow shit eaters, dogs, neo-Nazis, fascists. All of this to their face, and much worse. Even as they haplessly witnessed their religious symbols being desecrated and houses and vehicles being vandalized, they still live in fear with the festive season just round the corner. Many people are even scared of displaying their religion, to even put out idols to celebrate. Just 4 weeks later, even as the police is still probing to ascertain the culpability for the violence, the mayor of Leicester, strangely, has joined the bandwagon of those portraying the victims as perpetrators. Speaking to the media, Peter Soulsby said that Hindutva forces had a hand in instigating the riots.
A lot of things emerged on the night that have their roots in the Indian subcontinent.
What kind of things emerged?
Oh, I think ideologies that are associated with views about the particular racial and religious groups in India, and the way in which people perhaps here in the UK identify with those groups.
Are you talking about the Hindutva ideology?
Yes, I think that's certainly one that's, I think, a part of it.
Now, in case you were wondering, how did the mayor reach this conclusion despite almost all the evidence on camera and record indicating otherwise? We now show you a video that might help connect the dots. Just 2 days before making this statement, the mayor met Majid Freeman, a so-called Islamic scholar. We tell you why that is problematic, but first listen into the video posted by Freeman after the interaction.
People just came to speak to the community directly and hear what they've got to say directly, firsthand. And I think it was productive. We had some commitments from here. We dealt with the issues with ISIS and other extreme ideologies, and we deal with the Hindutva ideology as well, and we get to the root cause and we take things back to peace again. We'll have to, that makes sense.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us now on the show, Saurav Dutt, author, Jigar Bhagalia, lifetime member of the Durga Bhavan and eyewitness to the violence that took place in Birmingham, Anirban Banerjee and Abdul Razak Khan, both political analysts. But Jigar Bhagalia, you know, going by what the mayor says, even he is saying that you are to blame for what happened to you.
Exactly. And now, namaste to all. So basically, we need to understand the history of Hinduism, that we are the ones who clearly supports non-violence, okay, and to such an extent that we do not even kill animals and we are vegetarian as in our diets. So coming from the past to the present, you can also see that Hindus or India was the only country which has invaded more number of times than any country in the world. So the mayor also needs to understand what Hinduism and Hindutva is all about, because we never instigated violence.
But the mayor seems to think otherwise. This doesn't look good for you because the mayor seems to think otherwise.
I cannot talk on what thinking mayor has. But what I can say is, when a politician makes such comments, it makes us think that is it because of pleasing a particular community, and is it a vote bank as well? Because
Anirban Banerjee, and why this is suspicious is because the same mayor who is supposed to investigate meets Majid Freeman. Who is Majid Freeman? He is the man who has been seen as the instigator of the violence. Leave that. He has been called out by the UK police for putting out false news. He was the one who said, oh, a Muslim boy has been targeted by Hindus. He was the one who spread fake news that Hindu men tried to abduct a Muslim girl, which led to retaliatory violence. And he's being entertained by the mayor. How can anyone expect justice then?
First of all, there's a very clear difference between Hinduism and Hindutva. The gentleman before me wanted to state that every Hindu is kind of a vegetarian, but they are not. We eat meat, a lot of us eat meat, we are Hindus, we are born in Hindu families. So please don't try to identify everybody with yourself. Hindutva is a fascist ideology.
Sir, can we talk about the topic at hand? This is not about a dissertation on Hinduism. How can one expect justice from a man who is entertaining,
but you allowed the previous speaker to give his own interpretation,
the instigator of the violence?
Yeah.
How can one expect justice?
Okay, fine. Why not? Yeah, why not send the CBI, ED or the NIA and arrest the mayor? I mean, now you want to witch hunt the mayor, a mayor from the UK. He is the mayor of his area.
But it doesn't seem in the least strange to you that a man who has been called out by the UK police for spreading false news resulting in violence is being entertained by the mayor, who is giving him a clean chit subsequently. That doesn't sound at all like conflict of interest.
And it is the same very UK police, which till date has not done anything that proves that the theory of the Hindutva fascist goons living abroad is true. What? We always knew from the start that it was the same very blueprint followed by the RSS people abroad that they follow here. First you take out a march, you instigate, you do whatever you want to do.
Name one person who is a Hindu who has been arrested by the UK police. I can name at least 3 people who have been arrested. One of them, by the way, has accepted, and the other one was caught with a weapon. Now name the Hindutva goon who's been arrested by the UK police.
First of all, it is the mayor who is saying that this all started with whom? By the insinuation and instigation of the Hindutva goons. It is the mayor himself saying so.
Okay, Saurabh Dutt, so it all boils down to that in the end.
It's based on the investigation.
Saurabh Dutt, it's a setback because eventually you have a government official saying it.
Yeah, exactly. What has happened here is that the mayor does not understand the company he is keeping. This is the problem. The problem is that the victim has been painted as the perpetrator, and this is the entire discourse and narrative that has been played out during this entire fiasco with Leicester. What's happening even now is that anyone who is deemed to be right of centre is immediately tarred with the brush as called a Hindutvadi, being someone who espouses a Hindutva. And even your guest, Anirban Banerjee, doesn't know exactly what Hindutva is. Just want to equate one and the same, Hinduism and Hindutva. What's happening is that the gap is being narrowed because of the likes of Majid Freeman and because of the acquiescence and compliance of this mayor who doesn't understand the gravity of this entire storm that has been created. And even in his comments, he was pressed specifically by the media spokesperson, was Hindutva a cause? Not Islamism, not any other kind of ideology. Why specifically Hindutva? I'm sure the mayor doesn't even know what Hindutva is.
Anirban Banerjee, sheer ignorance.
The Hindutva goons started all this. That is the reason. That is the reason.
They're wearing their badges.
Okay.
Where they're wearing their badges.
Hindutva is a political ideology. It's a fascist ideology. We know what it is because we are living through the nightmare in India of Hindutva fascist ideology. We're living it right now. So therefore we don't need anybody living abroad sermoning us, preaching us on Hindutva. What is Hindutva? We know it is not Hinduism. We know that. Hindu religion is very different. It's a religion. It's a way of life. And Hindutva is a fascist ideology first.
Sir, you realize these were people who were following their way of life, doing their garba, celebrating their festival inside their own temple, and they were abused like cow piss drinkers. They were called that. They were called cow shit eaters. How is that supposed to be any form of Hindutva? You're literally standing there and doing garba. That's it. That's all you are doing. And then the mayor steps in out of ignorance, or there seems to be a suggestion of maybe either he's ignorant of what Majid Freeman is, or that there is a another consideration. Sort of that. What is it? Are you saying it's an
Exactly.
ignorance? Does he not know who Majid
so-
Freeman is?
Well, in the UK, it is very easy to ensure that MPs or public spokespersons get an audience, especially where there is an issue that has arisen about the community. What's happened is that Majid Freeman has gone on a tour, literally a media tour. He has made himself the spokesperson of Leicester, and it is to the shame of the left-wing houses and media houses in the UK that they have allowed his narrative to be the most prevalent. What's happened is that all of the Hindu voices have been shut out. If anyone has dared to question his orthodoxy, they have immediately been labelled as Hindutva, as fascists, as right.
So Abdul Razak Khan, essentially the narrative that you're creating here in India, it's not the Hindutva that is being exported and creating violence. It's the narrative of violent Hindutva that you're creating in India that is leading to Hindus in UK being treated in the fashion that they are. That even the mayor today is prejudging it.
Padmaja, it is called RSS in India, and it is HSS, Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh abroad. So these are the hate mongers who are the perpetrators who actually initiated this. Let me start from the victory march that they carried out on Green Lane Road, which is mostly dominated by Muslims. Sir, allow me my time. I did not speak in between when you spoke. Please allow me my time. You guys want to organize a protest against BBC on 29th of October. Why? BBC is reporting it wrong. You already had a protest against The Guardian, a 200-year-old newspaper. Why? Guardian is reporting it wrong. Rob Nixon, the chief constable, he reported it wrong. Everybody is against. But you don't want to speak for what you did. Who chanted death for Muslims? Who chanted death for Pakistan? Who chanted all these things? Was it necessary after the victory march to take it to a Muslim-dominated area and mock the Muslims of the UK?
Desecrating their temples.
And now you are playing the victim card.
Okay, Jigar Bagalia responding.
Leading newspapers.
Yeah. It is the mob of one particular community came in front of our temple and then continuously raising the same thing.
Sir, who started it?
So
it all started from the rally after the cricket
did anything happen in did anything start in Birmingham? Why was a mob of 250 Muslim young men?
Sir, the
listen, what happened in Birmingham was this never instigated. It was the issue in Leicester. Then what was 250 Muslim men standing in front of the temple in Birmingham, where the Hindus were not involved in anything, neither the Hindus chanted. So this clearly shows that it's hatred against a particular religion. So Hindutva is an issue to the people who are anti-India and anti-Hindu. You have to understand that. The word Hindutva is problem to only people who are making an issue is anti-Hindu and anti-India.
The videos are viral, they were available on the internet. Videos are available on the internet. Go and watch the victory rally, watch the chants. Death to Muslims.
Mr. Abdul Razak Khan, you're sitting here and UK explaining to somebody who is sitting in the UK and has been attacked and has been an eyewitness of what happened at a temple where people were just praying peacefully. News just coming in. Now you've got 180 organizations in the UK writing a letter to Liz Truss. They have written to the UK Prime Minister saying that we feel we are in a state of siege. Anirban Banerjee, that people are now being forced to write saying we're in a state of siege. Writing to you is our last resort, because even though the Hindu community is one of the most law-abiding, as evidenced by the imprisonment statistics, we feel that we are a community under siege. Violence in Leicester, aggressive protests outside a temple in Birmingham, vicious attempts to harass the Hindu community. The bottom line is that a marginalized Hindu community has been targeted through violence and intimidation, and you sit here in India and you smile at it. This is what they have been driven to write to Liz Truss.
This Padmaja is called karma. What goes around comes around. It is not the Hindus, not the common Hindus living in the UK who are under siege. It is the Hindutva fascist goons who seem to be under siege, and now they are crying foul. This is great. This is actually very great. They wanted to tarnish the name of our religion, of our country.
Whose
now
karma,
they are
sir?
getting it back from the authorities.
There are teenage girls at a temple who are being abused.
They are ignorant.
In the worst ways, and you're saying that is their karma to be abused. Is that what you're saying? There are entire families who are scared of celebrating Diwali.
Put out by whom?
You're saying that's their karma.
That is a video put out by whom? Have you verified it?
Yes.
Who put out that video?
Yes.
Who
there are
shot that
actual
video?
eyewitnesses to that. There are FIRs filed. There are first information reports filed with the UK police. It is not just a random video. There are actual individuals who have gone and filed FIRs.
And yet the mayor says it is upon the Hindutva fascists.
Oh, okay. So now you're not going to take the word of all the people who are living there, who are your countrymen, who are saying we're a community under siege. You want to today believe the mayor of Leicester. All right. And of course, everyone who's suffering is apparently their own karma. That's entirely, I think, for the viewers to decide what they make of your stream of thoughts, sir. When people are getting attacked, you mock it as their karma. I think that says a lot about the speaker. I'll leave it at that. Let's hope that despite what the mayor has said, the community gets the kind of protection that they have sought from the state in UK. And their vision is not clouded the way the mayor's is. I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for joining me.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
You can't.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shiv Shankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में
नहीं हेमा मालिनी
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी कल रात की सावन का
You're watching the News Hour at 10.
Election Commission has announced Himachal Pradesh poll dates, voting to be held on 12th November, counting of votes to be held on December 8th. Priyanka Gandhi flagged off the Parivartan Pratigya rally and launched party's election campaign in Himachal Pradesh. To woo voters, Priyanka promised 5 lakh jobs to youth in the state. Trouble mounts for Muruga Mutt seer. Fresh FIR has been filed against the seer after 2 minors accused him and 6 others of sexually assaulting them. In a major trouble for Chhattisgarh Sarkar, ED has alleged poll funding scam in the state. As per the ED demand note, Chhattisgarh government ran a mining extortion racket along with traders. The extorted money was used to fund polls and bribing officials. The convoy of NCPCR chief Priyank Kanungo was shown black flags when he arrived to meet the family of a minor girl who was found dead in Bengal's Hooghly district.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
You can't be sick.